What's that movie? Is it a hit? Don't ask Alenka, she'll say, I haven't seen it.
Welcome to the Haven't Seen It podcast. This is a podcast where we bring people on the show and we get them really drunk and they tell me about a movie that I've never seen before. I'm Alenka Zach.
And I'm Will. I don't know if I'm saying the thing anymore.
No, I don't want you to say it anymore. I don't like it.
You don't like it anymore. All right.
No. I mean, like, you're hitting it a little too hard.
Yeah. It was funny while it lasted.
It was fine. You guys, today, guess freaking what? Like, COVID's still going on, but our guest today is actually right beside me. Oh, shit, you guys. Our guest today is my roommate, Dylon. I forget his last name. Hell yeah.
You guys are close. Wow.
Nouvion. You got to say it like Bruce Buffer.
Who's that?
The UFC pump-up guy.
I don't watch sports.
Oh, well, calm down.
I don't watch UFC, so.
What's UFC?
Grown men sweat on each other and touch each other and wrestle around.
Nice.
For money.
You did it, right?
Yeah,
totally.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Why not?
Yeah, you guys, Dylon has watched probably all the movies I've never seen. And this one that we're talking about today is, what did you describe it as, Dylon?
The best effing movie ever.
Yeah. In his top 3, you guys. And I'm very excited because, and I know I say this often, I have a goddamn no clue what this is about. Not one. I keep thinking it's the There Will Be Blood movie. And that's the one with the milkshake, right? Something about a finger in a milkshake?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
I know that movie.
I never seen that movie.
What? Are you serious?
There is a milkshake.
There's an iconic scene and he's like, if I put my straw, his finger's the straw, and he's like, I put my straw all the way into your milkshake.
Something like that.
And I sip your milkshake. It's my milkshake.
He's like, my milkshake brings other boys to the yard.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the line. Speaking of milkshakes, though, Will, can you tell me about this drink you've concocted?
Oh, we're going right into the drink? All right.
I kind of want to, because this is my first time having this bevy, too.
Yeah. Well, a long time...
Dylon looks absolutely captivated by it.
It's going down good.
Long-time listeners will recognize the ingredients of this drink as being very similar to last episode's drink, meaning that it's pretty much exactly the same, except for marshmallows.
Wait, no, it's not. Is it?
Yes,
really?
Pretty much. I mean, vodka,
that was
marshmallows, and Irish cream. This is just vodka, milk, and Irish cream.
Well, Kahlua. It's a coffee liqueur.
Yeah, is it Kahlua? Is it supposed to be
Kahlua?
Kahlua?
My God, Will,
Kahlua.
did you make the wrong drink?
No, well, I just used what I already had. I wasn't going out and buying shit. So I used Irish cream, milk, and vodka.
You doubled up on the cream-based beverages for
That's
this?
how it's supposed to be. What are you talking
sick.
about? Are you just vodka and Kahlua?
No, it's vodka, Kahlua, and milk. That's a freaking White Russian.
But Kahlua has cream in it, doesn't it?
No, it's a coffee liqueur.
Anyway, I'm going to call this Pour Some Chigurh on Me. Listeners will know what that means. And if you don't, keep listening.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, because we all fucked up, or I fucked up, just me, I'm the one who fucked up. Why don't you just put some alcohol into a glass of milk, call it a day? That's what we're going to call this drink.
Nice. Not bad. Decent. I would say work on it, but...
I could have just went with milk and alcohol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Both delicious things.
Yeah.
You don't get the reference to the drink, but what do you know about this movie, this amazing movie?
I don't know anything, man. I mean, Chigurh, I literally thought that was because Sigourney Weaver, whatever the fuck her name is in the movie. And, like, I can't get the image of this dude from There Will Be Blood out of my head. Like, is there a dude...
It's because you're looking at my mustache.
No, well, the mustache is definitely, like, a contribution, right? Like...
Well,
is there a guy with a mustache in this movie?
To be fair, the posters for both of those movies are like very similar. There's like It's like dark.
Yeah, it's like
with
black
like a
and
sunset
red.
orange.
Yeah, sunset in the back. It's more of a
And-
morning
yeah.
sunrise. Yeah.
What is this movie
Yeah,
called
yeah.
again?
No Country for Old Men.
No Country for Old.
It's a rom-com. Surprise.
No, it's not.
Ah.
lying.
No, I'm just joking. I wish
Okay.
it was.
I think that maybe it could be a war movie.
It's like it's not a war movie, but there is some.
No,
battles.
it's definitely a war going on there, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, here's my guess. There is.
Yes, explain this movie to us, please.
Yeah. So, this guy comes into town. Nobody likes him. They're like, this guy's new. This guy's trouble. This is a Western, isn't it? I'm getting Western vibes.
Is he old?
Oh, no, but the guy that runs the town's old. And then this new guy comes in and he's like, yo, man, you got to split me even Steven on this town because there's no country left here for old men like you.
Honestly, mic drop. Done.
I know.
There you go. They specifically say the title exactly like that in the movie.
I know.
It's
yo,
fucking
man.
amazing. Oscar
There's
worthy.
no room. Yeah, apparently this is an Oscar winner.
Yeah, Javier Bardem won Best Actor.
Shit, he's in this movie?
Oh yeah.
He played
Wait,
God in Mother.
You've seen Mother of all movies?
Of course, it has Jennifer Lawrence in it.
I don't think I've seen
wait.
Mother.
I don't think we knew this fact about you. So you only watch Jennifer Lawrence movies in full.
Pretty much. Yeah, but I haven't seen Joy, so.
All right. I haven't seen that either. I
I'll have
actually
you
haven't
guys
seen
know,
Mother.
actually, I spent the money and purchased Passenger so that I could watch it on my fucking Apple movie. Like, I wanted it wasn't on Netflix. I was like, I remember Googling J-Law, and I was like, what J-Law movies we got on Netflix? Like one, just the Hunger Games. Just one of the Hunger Games. Probably even just the second Hunger Games. Wasn't
You're
even
so
the first
hardcore.
one.
You're like, I need to financially support this movie rather than just like pirate it.
I don't know how to do that.
Well, coming back around to this movie.
Yeah, so J-Law's probably not in it. I'm gonna just guess. I didn't know how old this movie was, but
07. I saw it. I was fortunate enough to see it in theaters.
Wow.
And how old were you?
And I had no idea with Coen Brothers because I only seen Fargo previously, so I thought it was going to be like a super weird movie. I had no premise to it, and boy, did it surprise me.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
awesome.
very much a different kind of Coen Brothers movie. Although it still has those Coen Brother
quirky.
But so what movies? So these guys made Fargo, and
they did what's it called? Burn After Reading. They did.
Nope.
This is their best movie by far. I think.
Well,
But,
I mean, Fargo is probably
Fargo's good too, but
the Big
I can't.
Lebowski, another
Big
one.
Lebowski, yeah, but you can't compare. I don't think you can compare No Country for Old Men to either of those movies.
so what is it? Why does this make it the best? You said the other ones don't have substance.
It's just, I don't know. It's just batshit crazy, psychotic murder. And,
This is a murder movie?
and also just, I don't know, the filming, the cuts, like just the scenes, just the way, I don't know. It makes you just, your heart beats super fast when you watch it. You know what I mean? It's like a thriller among thrillers.
Okay. Yeah, I have no clue then. No idea what to expect.
Well, it's definitely a crime masterpiece with a lot of great actors in it. Very, very great actors.
Yeah.
Javier. I know.
Yes.
Javier. I didn't know. I didn't know Javier when I first watched this movie, and then I was.
I don't think anyone really did.
Well, I guess The Mexican was like another movie that he was in before that, where he was
That's
like
true.
the same type of like character, right? Where you were like, wow, but this just blew it out of the water. Like he's just like actor of the year. He beat out Leo in something in 07, I think.
Well, everyone beat out Leo.
Yeah.
That is the story of Leo's life.
I know.
Yeah.
And then he, what does he do? He gets it on that bear movie what's that movie where he finally
The Revenant.
The Revenant. Yeah.
I mean, he earned it on that one. He earned it in other times, but that one he definitely earned it.
He was so good when that bear mauled him. That's what did it for me.
Another one I've not seen.
Go back to Coen's. My favorite Coen movie is Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? I love that movie. I think it's fantastic. Have you seen that movie, Alenka?
I've seen.
No. No,
Really?
of course, I haven't seen anything.
Add it to the list.
Add it to the list.
It's good, but it's more on the level of like Burn After Reading, kind of like that half comedy, half like
Yeah, it's a
insanity.
comedy.
Yeah.
Okay, so this
We'll talk about that
serious.
another time.
Yeah. So the relevance of the drink, like, are we gonna talk about that, or are we addressing this later?
Well, we'll get it. We'll get to it like we always do with the drink. We
I'm
don't
just guessing. It's
talk
a
about
Russian-
why this drink. Okay,
Sometimes.
honestly, I'm gonna be serious. It's just a White Russian because I had vodka. Okay, there's no Russian in this movie.
Are you serious? There's no Russian? There's actually no Russian?
No,
not at all.
Really?
That's why. That's why this drink could just be milk with an alcohol. That's all it needs to be.
They must drink milk then in this movie?
No, actually, it doesn't even appear in the movie.
What?
Milk?
I just had milk and alcohol, and I was like, let's make this drink for this
No.
There's
movie.
totally
You're
milk in this
lying.
movie, man.
I know I'm being sarcastic.
You did.
and-
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay.
That's like the funniest line in the movie. Yeah, anyway.
Okay. Fine then. Will
Just
will
not
you-
reading
Hold
Will
your
very
horses,
well right
Alenka.
now.
I
Me and
believed
Will are
him
not on
too.
the
I
same-
believed him too.
Well, Dylan,
Yes.
let's get started. How does this movie start?
Oh, okay. So it starts all black screen. And all of a sudden there's this little gentle burst of lightning, and then it just says No Country for Old Men. So you're like, OMG.
I just
right?
got shivvies.
Woo.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then it pans out, and I think it's South Texas, if I'm not wrong. Well, I believe it's South Texas.
Yeah, I believe so.
So they start
Definitely desert.
definitely desert, kind of plainsy area.
Mhm.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
then it starts off like morning sunrise, and it's kind of dark, and there's lots of gentle wind blowing across the plains. You know what I'm saying?
That's so specific. I can't believe all of this has been portrayed. So confident.
So anyway, some of the sun's slowly rising. They're cutting to these other scenes, and then Tommy Lee Jones, you know Tommy Lee Jones, right? He's got this real Southern accent.
Men in Black. Tommy
Men in
Lee Jones.
Black,
Oh,
Tommy Lee
like the old
Jones,
one?
the old dude. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So he's
He
even
basically
older.
is-
Okay,
Yeah,
this is
he's
way later.
perpetually
Okay.
old. Tommy Lee Jones
Okay.
is
He's like-
perpetually old.
Yeah.
So
He's super old in this.
Sweet. Okay.
Yeah.
And he's got like a Texas accent, and he's like telling this story. He's like fucking, I've been on the force for like 40 years. And he's like, these boys, sometimes I just don't get it these days. And I made my arrest. And he's just talking, right? He's just talking about some old fucking Western style story that nobody cares about. But it's
yeah,
important.
he basically monologues throughout this movie, and you're
Yeah.
like, why am I listening to this shit?
Yeah,
Why-
Yeah.
right. But it'll all make sense later.
Okay.
So anyway, so he's talking, and he's like, I made this arrest, and this guy, he killed a 14-year-old girl. And he's like talking about all this shit, and he's saying, he's like, yeah, I when I arrested him, he said, there was no passion at all. It was just, I was planning on doing this for years, and I would have killed her no matter what. And if they let me out, I'd do it again. That's basically what he says. So
classic criminal.
So he's like, he says, I'm going to hell, and I'll be there in about 15 minutes. That's what he says. And then it cuts out. And then when I first saw this, I thought it was kind of like quirky Coen Brothers. And then they just basically got this guy, this giant motherfucker with a fucking bowl cut.
Oh yeah,
And it's like, yeah.
he has the worst fucking haircut ever.
What?
Yeah.
This is Javier. Javier.
Yeah,
Bardem.
Javier.
Okay, yeah, okay.
So basically-
immediately, sorry, when you mentioned Javier Bardem was in this, immediately I was like, how stupid is his hair gonna
Yeah.
look?
Oh, it's-
Because his hair is
it's horrible.
always mess.
So like I'm watching this in theaters, and I'm like, oh my God, like they just arrested this like poor like guy when he's like been like masturbating in a park or something. You know what I mean? So like
Based off
they-
the haircut.
but like right away it's like, oh my God, I was wrong. So they put this guy in a cop car, and this young cop's like all tough, and he's like real serious, and they really make an imposition on this guy's face, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, wow, this guy's tough. And the guy pushes him by the head, and he pushes Javier into the car, and then they pan over to the passenger seat, and he opens the door, and he puts a fucking air tank in the in the passenger seat, and you're like, oh, okay, this guy.
Yeah, it looks like he's
or
got some
something.
sort of he's got
Oh,
some
yeah,
sort
yeah.
of oxygen tank or something.
So everyone's like, okay,
that's odd.
yeah. So anyway, and then they just like drive off, right? And then the next scene is like where I was like, oh my god. They are in the police station, and the cop's like, oh yeah, I just arrested this guy, and he's like on his phone talking to everybody, and it's a picture, it's a shot of the police officer, and behind him is Javier Bardem in cuffs. He's just like sitting there, right? And he's like, yeah, this guy had this oxygen tank, and I don't know what he was up to, and like you figure out when you get back, and like he's just playing it all chill. But in the background, Javier Bardem's like doing some crazy like gymnast shit, and he's like getting the cuffs like from his back like to this front, right? And you're like, oh damn,
oh shit,
this guy's like double jointed like in the shoulders, right? so then he's like, yeah, don't worry, sheriff. And he's starting to walk towards him.
Oh no.
And you're like, oh god, what's gonna happen?
Oh no.
And then he like literally hangs up the phone, and Javier Bardem just fucking chokes this guy from behind with the cuffs.
Yeah.
And it's like I gotta say, like, you gotta agree with me. Well, this is like top 5 or like top 3 like strangulation scenes like you've ever seen in your life.
I mean, I have a list. Secret list. Top
you would have
of
a
my
list.
strangulations.
Yeah, but this has got to be up there.
Wait. I have a list.
You better watch it.
He's strangling this cop with the handcuffs, and then he body slams him to the floor.
Yeah, and he's got him on his.
He's got him on his back, and it kind of zooms in onto.
He doesn't face it. He's like
face.
He's like this. He's like,
yeah.
And you're like, oh my god, this guy's fucking nuts. He's like crazy.
Well, he's definitely a psychopath or a sociopath or both.
Good Lord.
So the best part about it is he's got the chains on the guy's neck, and this guy is like the acting for the cop. I got to say is like Oscar worthy for getting strangled. Like he's like eyes are popping out of his head. He's like freaking out.
God.
And the boots make this crazy scuff marks all over the floor, right? Because he's just like fighting him hard, right?
Yeah.
And like there's scuff marks like you would not believe from the guy's boots.
Wow.
And he's like breaking skin with the chain, and like blood's like fucking going
Ew.
like right out of his neck, right?
Oh, it's bad.
And I was like, that hooked me, man. I was like, I'm gonna like this movie, I think.
That was the part where you're like
like gross, right?
You better lock your doors tonight, Alenka.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Oh,
yeah.
no, I'm a little stressed out.
It was just gnarly, like it was gnarly as hell, and blood's just like squirting everywhere. It's all over the floor, and he's like really got that like face, right?
Yeah.
And then he finally chokes this guy out, and he just takes this big like psychotic like breath, like he's done, right?
Yeah.
And then they pan over to him, and he's got these like marks all over his hands from the cuffs, and he's like soaking them under the water, and he's like, oh.
Yeah, and it's like bleeding. Like he's cut himself by choking the other guy.
He's like, thank God that's over.
Now, we went into excruciating detail on this scene because so did they.
Yeah.
And it's very long strangulation scene.
Oh, yeah. It's like right away. It's like they're not effing around. Like it's like, first kill is like what, like 2.5 minutes into the movie.
Yeah.
Oh God.
So yeah, it's unbelievable.
Okay.
Now I can't remember. I didn't watch it too long ago, like just this week. But does it go next to our next character, or does it continue with him?
No, it goes kill. Like it's two kills, like bang bang.
Really?
Yeah.
So
does,
anyway, so
that's exciting.
So the next scene, like you just see this, like obviously he's got the cop car, right?
Okay.
So he's like driving along. He's not even. They didn't even show him driving.
This is like a small town jail, like one deputy.
Yeah, there was one guy. Like you could never get away with that shit, like in New York City.
Wait.
Yeah,
just to clear, this is a Western, yes or no? Is he Westerny? No.
It's class.
It is Western. Sorry,
it's a neo-Western. Yeah, it's a neo-Western.
Like, what is the time? Like, what year is it?
Well, I don't want to ruin that yet. That's
okay.
that's the Coen part, right? That's where he gives up the year.
That's true. Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
But the cars, like he got pulled over in like an old like Ford There's like a 77 Ford, so you got to figure it's like in between there and like you know, somewhere in that angle, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So he pulls this other guy over in the cop car, in the stolen cop car. And he just pulls him over, and the guy's getting ready to get his license and all that kind of stuff out. And he just kind of slowly walks up with his fucking air canister tank, and you're still like, what the fuck is going on? And then he has like a jean, not the driver, but Anton, the killer, has like a jean shirt on, right? I think it's a jean shirt, his fucking like stupid ass bowl haircut. And he's kind of walking up towards there. He's got a weird smile on his face a lot of the movie. It's very creepy, but he's also kind of charming in this movie. He's like,
off-putting. You know, after that, you like when he talks to this guy, when he pulls him over, you know, he's kind of smart and kind of like manipulative.
Yeah.
So he like walks over to the car and he like knocks on the door and he's like, "Step out of the car, sir." And the guy's like, "What is this about?" And he's like, "Just step out of the car, sir, please." And he's got like this like really like crazy smile on his face. And he's just holding this fucking air tank. And the guy's like, "Okay." And he like gets out of the car and he's standing there and fucking Javier Bardem's like, "Can you hold still, please, sir?" And he's like, "Okay." And he just fucking
dude looks down and he's like, "What's that for?"
Oh yeah.
Like, he doesn't know what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
so he pulls up and he's got, it's kind of like it's like a squeeze handle thing on the end of this tank.
Okay.
And he's like, "Can you just hold still, please?" And then he like puts it right up to his forehead, and then boom, he just fucking kills the guy.
Yeah, it just like puts a fucking hole in his forehead.
What?
And like fucking guy just goes and just like drops to the ground, like instantly dead.
Yeah. So basically, I mean, people who know what this is will know will know right away when you watch a movie. If you don't know what this thing is, you kind of have to wait a little bit longer to kind of get in your head, oh, that's what that is. But if you're a farmer, which I don't know if there's many farmers listening to our podcast, but you might know that this is it's like an air gun. It shoots like a little bolt out, and it's meant to kill.
No, it's a metal bolt, but it's metal air pressure.
Air pressure. And it's meant to basically kill cattle and other wildlife very quickly and very painlessly.
Okay.
That it's used for that. So that's what it is. That's how he's killing people.
So his kill this time around was meant to just be painless, and he was just like, this guy looks like he's having a tough go.
It's multifaceted though. He uses it for like, there's another big part of like why he uses that thing. It's like a break and entry type of tool for him too, right?
Oh yeah. It's called a bolt pistol.
Bolt pistol. Okay.
Yeah.
A captive bolt pistol.
And I'm sure that would have been like kind of like at the time, probably like newer technology, right? For like cattle killing, right?
Oh yeah,
you know
for sure.
What I mean? Yeah.
I know all about killing cattle, obviously.
Yeah, cattle, like
Okay.
I was going to call this drink maybe No Country for Old Cows. Does
he kill a lot of cows? Oh no, because he uses the fucking thing. Duh. Okay.
I don't know.
So he kills his first dude with the thing.
This is the second
With
dude
the
he's
bull.
killed. He's already killed two fucking guys, and we're talking 5 minutes in. He's already killed two guys.
Okay, well, check the right hand because you had it on this side first.
Yeah, so
and this side.
Yeah, well, Freddy has his claws. Jason has the fucking machete. Anton has a fucking bolt pistol. He's in like the pulp culture zeitgeist of having, of like, that's his murder weapon. You know, like, I'm sure there were Halloween costumes. So.
Oh, for sure. There was spoofs too. They did a spoof too.
I'm totally going as him for Halloween.
You should. You have the right hair.
I do not.
I can't do it. I have to wear a wig, so it's not gonna happen for me.
Yeah, our viewers will see your picture soon enough. So.
Yeah. Damn, I should put a hat on.
Okay, so guy's dead, falls to the ground.
Yeah.
Then
he gets into his car. He
takes his car
because he can't drive around the fucking cop car, right? Because like his
that's
heat
not
is
conspicuous
shit.
at all.
It's super heat.
True. You're right.
So he gets in this old dude's car and he fucking cruises away, and then like end scene, right? They're like,
okay, hold on a second. This guy Anton was arrested for what at first?
Nobody knows really.
The sheriff was just like,
no,
this
you
guy's
don't
got
really
an
know.
air
He was just arrested. Yeah.
Okay. Go
Yeah,
on.
that actually kind of tears me up. I kind of want to know what he was arrested for. Because, like, the guy's like a fucking criminal mastermind. No, he's getting pulled over for, like, DUI or some shit. With an
I mean, that haircut is criminal. So,
it was probably it. Yeah.
that's what it is.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
so then it's still on him. We cut to this little small town gas station. And then this, right? Yeah.
No.
Really?
No.
Okay.
Josh, they do Josh Brolin. They bring in
Do they?
Josh Brolin.
Because my Wikipedia plot does all of that Anton stuff all in one go, but I'm not sure.
Well,
why I
that's
asked.
later on. That's later on that gas station part. I know what you're talking about. That's a pivotal. Yeah. That's a pivotal scene for sure.
It is, yes.
But it cuts to the discovery, right? The big discovery that Josh Brolin makes, right?
Yes. Well, it cuts to like a scope view of I think they're called pronghorns. I thought it was just a deer or an antelope, but they're very specific type of deer.
Pronghorns.
They travel in huge packs, though. They're like fucking 50 of them.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we see it we see one of them get like shot in the leg, but not fully dead. And it kind of cuts to our main hero character, Llewellyn.
Llewellyn Moss. Yeah, Llewellyn Moss.
Is Llewellyn
played by Josh Brolin.
And Josh Brolin's he's fantastic in this movie. Like he's great.
Yeah, he was in other stuff obviously before this, but this was kind of his big like, Josh Brolin is a Oscar-worthy actor kind of guy.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Great mustache too, by the way.
Yeah, very good.
Oh my god, so awesome.
In the Goonies, he's in the Goonies as well.
Is he in the Goonies?
He's the older brother in the Goonies.
Oh, really?
Is the Goonies a movie or a TV show?
That's a movie. And that's a movie we definitely have to do.
Yeah, that's an old standard. That's a good movie.
Oh, yeah.
No, I know.
Yeah, we see Josh Brolin, who plays Llewellyn Moss. And
which I'm sure is a girl's name.
Llewellyn?
Is it not?
I don't know. I think it's one of those both. I think
that's an old Southern name. It's an old Southern
name.
Yeah. We're talking South Texas here, right?
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So he fails to kill this antelope, and then he kind of goes out to the field to start tracking it.
He's tracking, yeah.
Yeah. He's a tracker hunter. He is, later we find out he's also a Vietnam vet. But he sees a dog, an injured dog, I believe, right?
Well, before that, he sees the blood path that he sees the blood, that fresh blood, right? And he looks at the blood, and there's a cross blood that goes across, right? So he's like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
So he like looks over, and there's this dog, a pit bull, and he's fucking limping, and he's like, "What the hell?" Right? And he keeps looking over, and he sees this fucking, like he keeps walking the trail, right? And he sees this fucking massacre, right? For this binoculars. He's got the binoculars on. He's like looking around. Sees like 4 like big pickup trucks with like huge lights on top. We're talking like GTA 5 type of like,
sure, I know,
like
what that
truck.
is.
You know what I mean? Like
Totally.
big off-road trucks,
Totally
like pickup trucks, and all these fucking dead bodies around. And he's like, "Oh shit,
real dead bodies, like people bodies."
Yeah,
yeah, real dead bodies,
like real people.
Well,
bodies.
I thought maybe he was going to uncover.
Are you
like
saying
a dog
animal
fight.
bodies or not dead bodies?
Yeah,
Not real dead bodies.
I meant like human bodies. Like he's going to care more. Let's just be real about it.
Yes. Yeah, it's a massacre. So he goes down there. He's got a gun, obviously, because he was just hunting.
He's got his rifle. He's like, "Oh fuck!" Like shit got real. Like I gotta keep this down.
Yeah, and the way he's one, like very calm, and two is very like, checking everything, the perimeter, all that kind of shit. We kind of get the sense that he's no stranger to something like this.
Yeah, that's where you kind of go, "Oh fuck, this guy might be like, connected or in the war or whatever." Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And so he's kind of exploring all the trucks, and I can't remember. Does he find?
So he fucking walks around and he's like looking. He sees all these guys like blown away, and he's like, "Oh shit!" Right? And then he walks over to the trucks and he's like checking the trucks to make sure there's like nobody alive, right?
Yeah.
So he walks over and there's fucking this guy, and they pan to like the shot of like the car window and it's all dirty. You can't see through it, right? And he walks up and he fucking opens the door, and Buddy's like shot in the gut, and he's like a Mexican guy, and he's just sitting there, and he's like, agua, por favor. He's like, agua. And Josh Brolin's like, fuck that. He's like, I ain't got no water, man.
Yeah, and he's in a very Texas story. He's like, I ain't got no water.
He's like, I ain't got no agua. I told you already. I ain't got no agua.
Oh man.
So then he takes the guy has like a submachine gun beside him, but he grabs it from him.
Yeah.
And he's like dying.
He's like looking at the guy's eyes, but he's like reaching for the gun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He like pulls it away, and then Buddy's like talking about water, and he's got this clip like sticking out of his like coat pocket, and Brolin's just like, "I'll have that too." And he just grabs his fucking clip, just takes his whole manhood away from him
As he dies.
He skips around to the back of the truck and he lifts up. There's like a tarp or canvas over top of it, the load, and underneath it is bricks and bricks of heroin.
Bricks and what? Sorry,
sweet dirty brown.
Sweet dirty brown heroin.
Oh, is it brown?
It's a Mexican Bam Bam.
I didn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
so obviously that's why there's a big old massacre.
Yeah, it was a big drug deal
war.
gone wrong.
Yeah.
And they didn't take the drugs.
No, there's no drugs. And again, we also find out that Josh Brolin's character is also very, very intelligent, because I wouldn't have fucking think of this, but internally he's kind of looking around and he's looking at, there's got to be like what, or he says, where's the other one?
Where's
basically.
the last man? He says, where's the last man? Yeah.
Because
the
guy's like,
the guy's like, I just need fucking water, basically in Spanish. And he's like, I don't have water, man. He's like, just tell me where the fucking guy is, and I'll give you water, maybe.
Yeah. Okay.
So he tries to find like where he might have like left from, and then he follows. I think it's a blood.
He follows
trail.
like a truck trail, right? He follows like a truck trail, and then he's like, oh, if he's gonna stop in the shade, right?
Yeah.
So he's like walking along. And he like gets his binoculars out and he's like looking and he's like, oh fuck, there's like 2 trees way over there. So he like walks up to those trees, right? The tracks are kind of leading towards the trees.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay. And he sits there and he looks through his scope and he sees his 2 pair of feet just kind of like laying on the tree, right? So he kind of waits it out. He's like, fuck, is this guy gonna move? And he's like looking. The guy doesn't do shit. So he goes walking up. He puts the rifle down. He's got the SMG and he's fucking walking up. He's like, oh damn. He's like, this fucking guy I think is dead.
Okay.
So he walks up to this motherfucker and he's like against the tree and he's like all shot up and they show this like face of him and he's just like dead as fuck. And you're like,
I think
damn.
there's definitely like flies around him too. I think.
Yeah,
it's
it's
very
like
much. He's not getting up. He's not reaching for a gun.
Yeah.
He's.
I think they show like a
capital
hole.
D
Like,
dead.
they show like a hole in his boot, right, where he was like it's like he's been there for a while, right?
Yeah.
Oh, something's eaten through it.
Like he's just been dead there for like a day, right? He's starting to rot.
Okay.
Yeah, so he inspects the scene, he like kicks a gun away or whatever, and then he sees a briefcase and he opens up this briefcase and it is stacks on stacks of $100 bills. It is the money from the drug deal.
And he's like, he gets it and he's like so surprised. He's like, yep. He's like, okay. He's like in shock, right?
Oh, yeah.
So he like closes it up and he like sees this like brand new fucking like chrome revolver, or not a revolver, like an amazing gun in the buddy's hand. Picks that up, checks the clip, puts that in his pocket, right? Grabs the money and he just fucks off. And he's got like all this cash.
Okay.
Yeah, he just skips on home, skips on his merry way.
So there was the drugs and the money was all left there.
Yeah, because it was like a shootout. It was a bad shootout. One guy made it out with the money and then died. So literally,
like he was shot. Yeah, he was
no
shot.
one else. Yeah,
got you. Okay.
So he goes home to his trailer park. Newsflash: he lives in a trailer in a trailer park.
Yep.
Because that's what I guess how the States treats its Vietnam vets in the 80s.
Yeah. That's how they do it.
So, oh shit. Yeah, so he goes back to his trailer and then he
hides the guns, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he goes underneath the trailer and he kind of knocks out like a panel and he hides the guns. not the money though, but he hides the guns that he took, minus his hunting rifle. And then he goes into his trailer to see his wife. Is it his wife? Is Sarah? No.
No. What the hell is her name? She's in Boardwalk.
Carla Jean.
Yeah, Carla Jean. Carla
That's his
Jean.
wife's name?
Yeah. They're
Very
all
South Texas
southern
names.
names.
Super like
I
hickey.
love it.
Yeah.
Hickey, yeah.
Carla Jean.
Carla Jean.
That's not how she sounds. But
She's like, I'm gonna take you in the back and screw you. That's what he says. Yeah.
Oh yeah, because she's like asking him questions like, "Where have you been all night?" Yeah,
he's like, "Where'd you
Like
get the gun?" He's like, "At the getting place."
Yeah.
She's like,
Oh no, yeah, he hides the machine gun, but he keeps a pistol
revolver.
that he found.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the machine guns are kind of suspicious.
Technically
And
illegal.
she keeps asking questions, and he says something like, he's like, keep asking questions, and I'm going to bring you in the back and screw you.
Screw you.
Like-
And he's like, and she's like, big talk. He's like, keep it up. And he just like, and he's got like that like 80s fucking like pull off fucking can. I love those.
Oh
things.
yeah,
And he's just
Oh,
like,
yeah.
he's just like, shh, and then he just fucking whips it away, and he's just like,
yeah,
that'll work. And he just fucking starts drinking his beer, right?
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
And all
awesome.
she also is like, "What's in the bag?" And he's like, "What is he?"
I was like, he says it's full of money. And she
Full
goes,
of money, yeah.
and she goes, that'll be the day. And he's like, all right, whatever.
Yeah. So he.
He's
And
sleeping.
then it cuts to the bed. He's like over top shot. He's sleeping, but then he kind of wakes up. He's
He can't
awake.
fucking
He's-
sleep. He can't sleep.
He can't. Yeah, he can't sleep. And this is kind of a moment where it's indicating like he's like a good guy. He's a good. man.
He's got a heart.
Okay.
He's got a
Yeah.
heart. Yeah.
Okay.
What is he? Just says one thing. He's just like.
He's like, nope, ain't going to happen. And he just like gets up, or
Yeah.
he's like,
Does he say
something
something
like
like
that?
shit? I forget what
or
he
something
says.
like that. He's
Yeah.
like, he's just like, fuck it.
He continually
Okay.
talks to himself in this movie too, which is
Yeah,
kind of
same, me
interesting
too.
character choice. But basically, he gets up, he grabs like a big thing of water. He gets dressed and he drives his truck back to the location because basically he's like, I'm going to give that fucking guy water.
Okay. He
But
thinks
yeah.
he's still going to be alive.
I don't know. I guess so.
He assumes he might be alive. He just feels bad because he probably had fucking water. He just
Sure.
like didn't care. He's just
Yeah.
looking for money, right?
Okay. Okay.
So he gets there. This is like dead of night, and these shots are so good. All the like the
probably
cinematography
the
in this
best.
scene,
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
unbelievable.
because it's like very dark, but it's late
kinda like-
night, like
like
I would say,
morning
four-
light.
Yeah, 4 in the
Yeah.
morning,
Okay.
kind of
Like
late.
just coming up, and he parks on a ridge, right? He parks
Yeah.
on this ridge overlooking the whole murder scene, right?
Mm.
And then
Mhm.
they keep showing him like looking back at his truck because you can see like the blue, and you can see his truck, right? And he keeps like
in silhouette.
it keeps
and
looking
it's-
back.
Yeah,
Yeah, he
yeah.
keeps like looking
Yeah.
back, right?
Yeah, so
And-
he's
and-
there, and he's kind of just like looking for the dude, I guess. And like it is for the water. Is he there for any other reason though? It's hard.
I
to
think
tell.
he kind of wants to know what the fuck happened. I think that's why
Yeah.
he brings the water, right? Like he kind of
Mhm.
wants to know because the guy did say 2 English words. He was like, "I loathe." Remember? When
Oh,
he
yeah.
was wanting the water, so he's like, "Okay,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
guy might be able to speak English."
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, he's like exploring the scene, and then we see another truck.
Yeah, like he keeps looking over his shoulder, right? And then all of a
Mhm.
sudden he looks over his shoulder and there's another fucking truck up there.
Nice.
And he's
Yeah.
like, oh shit. And all you hear is like, shh, and Buddy just
Oh,
like gasses his tires,
no.
right?
Oh yeah.
And then he he like freaks out, right? And he like
Yeah.
gets behind the truck. And then all of a sudden these like big spotlights come on the guy's truck up top.
Oh.
And he starts fucking driving down the hill towards him. And he's like sitting there like, oh fuck, like I just
Oh,
fucked
no.
up big time.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
And he just like
as
um,
if like the
so he
chances of
takes off
this.
running, which I don't know. I mean, yeah, it's the
I
smart
wouldn't have
idea.
done
This
that.
is smart.
I-
Well,
Well,
no.
I guess if
he
you knew
was-
there was like a river there, like he did, right? Like that's a good
yeah,
call,
he did,
I guess.
yeah. So he takes off running, and then the scene kind of gradually. It's definitely like it's kind of one shot is very dark, but then suddenly the next shot is it's definitely brighter. Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
definitely
Like
now more morning.
they skipped like half of a day there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it must have got light really fast on the planes, I guess. I
Oh,
don't
for
know.
sure. I mean, they probably filmed
Oh,
that scene
oh.
over like a week. So
That was
Um,
this is one of the most iconic like shots ever. Is like Buddy like shoots a couple shotgun shells at him. He misses him. He jumps under the truck, right? And he's freaking out. And the guys are driving down. Like fucking these Mexican guys are like driving down, and they're like freaking out. And he gets out of the car, and they're fucking shooting at this guy, and he's running through the field, right?
Yeah.
And this truck with the lights on is like just trying to get through this hard terrain, right? They're just like fishtailing like crazy, and they're trying to shoot fucking Josh Brolin. And he's just like booking towards the water, right? He's like, fuck this. He's just like running.
Yeah.
And like it's like that scene where like the lights are behind him and he's running and they're fucking trying to shoot him.
Cool.
And they finally fucking, as soon as he gets over the berm, they fucking hit him in the shoulder with buckshot, right? So he comes flying down the fucking hill. And so he gets to the bottom and they're like in this like nice like river. It's like just early morning, right? He's like, fuck, I gotta swim now. So he's got that gun, pistol in his back, right? So they're shooting at him and they get to the top of the hill. They can't drive down anymore, right? So you're like, shit, he got away.
Sure.
But they fucking let this pit bull go.
Oh yeah, they send the dog after.
They send the pit bull out of the truck, and the pit bull
they've basically got all these pit bulls. Also, we didn't say it before, but not only were there dead bodies at that crime scene, there was also dead pit bulls, a bunch of them.
Pit bulls. Okay.
Yeah, there was the wounded pit bull, but then there was also
loose.
dead pit bulls.
And so he found that wounded pit bull, and it just didn't do anything to him.
Well, I mean,
just like
it wasn't being like called to attack.
Yeah, it was wounded as shit. Like it looked like it had like 3 legs. Like at the time.
So he jumps into the river and is swimming away, and the pit bull jumps in the river. And I didn't know dogs could fucking swim this fast.
This is the scene. Yeah,
Really?
this is the scene. He's like swimming, right?
Scary
He's swimming.
scene.
Yeah, the dog's like, and it just looks like it's gonna tear his fucking face off, man.
God.
So he's swimming. He's like looking back. He's like, holy fuck! Like this pit bull's right on me. So he finally gets enough ground where he can like get up and like walk.
Yeah.
So he's like trying to walk and this pit bull's like right on his fucking ass. Like it's like, so he fucking pulls his gun out and he's like, shit, it's wet. So like, this is where, like he's been like military trained because he like pops the clip out. He like snaps a bullet out and he starts blowing in the fucking, to dry the gun out. Right. So it'll shoot. So he's like, he's like blowing in the gun and the pit bull's fucking getting ground. And he literally is like fumbling with the clip. He puts the clip in, the pit bull jumps at his face and he goes bang. And he shoots the pit bull as it lands on him, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's some
it's pretty tense. Yeah.
Zombie dog.
So then he's waiting there and he's like picking fucking like shrapnel out of his shoulder because he got shot by buckshot, right?
Yep.
Oh yeah.
So he waits there like all fucking night or whatever, all morning. It's like afternoon. He finally sees the truck drive away and he's actually like tearing off pieces of his shirt to put onto his feet because he lost his boots.
Okay.
Oh yeah, he took off his boots before he went swimming. His nice cowboy boots.
Yeah, he's like, fuck, I'm going to save these Larrys or whatever that he calls them. So anyway, he's putting cloth on his feet because he's like, he's got to be trained in some way. Mm-hmm. And he gets the fuck out of there. He starts walking away.
Okay.
Quick pause. I would love to see a movie like this where that guy doesn't have military training. Just some fucking idiot with a gun. Wouldn't that be way better? Just
he dies. He dies of like fucking infection of his feet. Like movie over. Like roll credits. Yeah.
Just fucking like the dog fight would be like the bear fight in The Revenant. Just like that long.
Just
and
like right on his neck. Like yeah. You know what? That would make a good sequel. Actually.
Yeah.
Same thing happens. Just to a different
except it's half an hour shorter.
That is really a thing in movies though, where it's like
they're always
like the main character can do all that. Yeah, conveniently military trained, so they can do all this stuff, even when they're just supposed to be irregular guys. And it's like, well, I was in the military. Oh, okay.
It all makes sense now.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yes.
Cool.
Okay. I'm trying to think.
Shrapnel, feet, cloth, wrapping. He gets away. He's walked.
He gets away. He goes to I think he shows up to like the boot store after, doesn't he? And he's like,
does he go right there, or does he go home first?
He goes home. Yeah, he might. I think he goes home and he
sends his wife off.
Yeah, he's talking to Carla Jean and he's like, "All right, we're gonna go see your mother." And he's like, she's like, "Oh, Llewellyn, like I don't know about this. Like, what are we doing?" And he's like, "Just pack your shit, bitch. We gotta go." That's what he's saying. That's basically what he says.
Yeah, he's like, say bitch, but he's so dismissive.
Yeah, he's just like anything you don't pack, you're never going to see again. That's what he says, basically.
Yeah.
So she's like,
mother's in Del Rio.
Del Rio. Yeah.
Okay. Del Rio's where?
No, sorry. Del Rio is where he goes later. Sorry. I forget where his mother is.
El Paso, I think.
El Paso,
All
yes.
in
yes.
Texas.
So
Yeah?
he's
Yeah.
like, all right,
Yes.
we're going to fucking El Paso, basically.
Okay.
Mhm.
So they get on this bus, and he gives her like a little bit of cash, and he's like, you know what? He's like, I gotta fucking deal with something. He's like, you're gonna go to your mother's, and he's like, I'll see you later. And he's like, she's all worried. She's like, oh well, Llewellyn, like, what am I gonna do? Just like show up and that's it? And he's like, yeah, you're just gonna show up basically, and you're gonna fucking live there. He's like, just do this. Like, he doesn't want to like totally tell her exactly what he's into, but he's like, basically like, you gotta go.
Does she sense that like he's in some trouble, or is she just like super confused?
I think she probably feels like something's wrong, but
yeah, she senses something's up.
Okay.
Absolutely, just by the look on his face, right? He's a little bit like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Okay, so they get pans to this like gas station, and there's this like really goofy like Southern guy, and he's just like at the counter, and Javier Bardem comes in, and he's just looking like hard as fuck. He's just like, bro. He's like, how much for the gas? He's like, and this, and the guy's like 69 cents. And he's like, okay. And then what does he say again? Oh, he goes,
the gas station guy is just like,
much rain for where you're from or whatever. That's what he says.
It's like,
right?
much rain up there, or because
he notices the
like
plate.
The license plate.
Yeah.
What's the plate for?
It's like
the car
from
plate.
Dallas or something.
Yeah. Dallas. Okay.
Yeah.
And
so he's like, oh, they're on to me, right?
But Javier he doesn't have a Southern accent at all.
No, he's like from somewhere else.
Okay.
Like he's legit like not from there.
Okay, gotcha.
Well, he's kind of got a bit of his like I think natural Spanish kind of drawl, but like very hidden under a very sociopathic like monotone.
Yeah. I feel like it
delivery.
always goes really well for him anyways. Like that like hint of his actual accent always just works so well for whatever character he is.
It does, yeah.
You're fucking crazy. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But basically, yeah. So he's like, how much for the gas? And he asks him like, oh, much rain? And he's just like, he's like,
where does it? He's like, what does it matter where I'm from, or something like that? He's like, what is it any business of yours? Yeah. And the guy's like,
that's
oh
what he said.
fuck! Like I was just creating conversation.
And
right?
This is a very Coen Brothers thing to have. He always has these kind of character actors like sprinkled throughout, and this guy's definitely one of these characters, kind of like this very Southern, like, oh, this is my wife's gas station. I married into the family. He's very, he's kind of bumbling, kind of funny guy.
So he's like, oh, you live in the house out back? Because he's already annoyed. Javier Bardem, when he gets annoyed in this movie, like he just starts fucking going pa-pom, pa-pom, and just killing people. Right? So like you can already tell that this gas attendant's just like shitting his pants. Like he's just like, oh fuck, like I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah.
So he's like, you live in that house out back?
Oh no.
And the guy's like, yeah. And he's like, something, I don't know, whatever he says. He's like, how long you been here? And he's like, oh, we moved here like 4 years ago. Like we had a life in Temple, Texas, and it's my wife's father's place. And he's like eating these cashews, and all of a sudden he just fucking chokes up. He's like, just like, Javier's like,
okay.
And he's like embarrassed. He's like, so you married into it. He's like, basically like you married into it. And guys like, well, if that's, he's like, well, that's the way you want to put it, then yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And he's like, there's no way to put it. He's like, that's the way it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, he thinks this guy is a piece of shit.
Okay. Yeah.
He thinks he's pathetic, I think.
Yeah, he thinks he's just like a loser, right?
I feel like anyone he even pities slightly, this is why he does what he does next.
Yeah. So he goes, he pulls this fucking coin out, and he goes, it's a quarter, and he goes, you know what date's on this quarter? And the guy's like, I don't know. And he's like, 1958. And he's like, it's been traveling 22 years to get to this place. So you figure there, it's 1980, right?
Okay.
Like, okay.
Yeah, it's 1980.
Yeah.
So he's like, I need you to, he flips the coin, he puts it down on the fucking table, and he goes, I need you to call it. And the guy goes, I'm not calling. I don't know what we're talking about. Yeah.
But before that, he has the iconic line of like, what's the most you've ever lost on a
coin toss? What's it ever lost? Yeah, that's right.
What does he say?
He's like, what's the most you've ever lost in a coin toss? And the guy's like, what? And he's like, what's the most you've ever lost in a coin toss?
That was a good impersonation.
And then the guy's like, I couldn't say. He's like, I couldn't say, man.
So he
exactly
flips
it.
and he's like, call it. And he's like, what are we calling for?
Yeah, and he's
just
like, everything. He's like, everything.
Everything.
And he's like, what do I stand to win? He's like, you stand to win everything. Call it.
Call it.
And the guy's like, I don't know. Like, what are we wagering? He's like, I don't know what I'm putting up. And the guy, and Javier Bardem's like, you've been putting it up your whole life. He's like, just call it. So the guy's like, still like skeptical about it. He's like, I don't want to do this shit. He's like, something's wrong
like,
there.
Heads.
He's like, he's like, heads then.
Yeah. Because he has a higher pitched Texas accent. He's like, heads then.
Yeah. And Javier's like, he's like looking under his hand. He's like slowly lifting it. And he's like, well done, sir. And it was heads.
It was heads.
So he like flicks the coin towards him, right? And the guy's like, what the hell did I just win? Right? And little did he know he won his life.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Got
Yeah.
you.
Basically, he was like, I'm going to kill this dude if he calls it wrong because I'm a
So he did
psychopath.
I just need a reason. Yeah,
Yeah.
basically.
So he did this because he felt like pity for the dude.
No,
I don't know.
because
That's my own like character interpretation because
the guy
he does it a couple other times, but
yeah, the guy in Javier's eyes, the guy was a fucking loser, right?
Yeah.
He didn't create his own life, but he didn't really know the story about the guy, right? He just assumed
I think it's
things.
I think for anyone that he feels he doesn't have to kill, he does that. Like,
Okay.
Yeah.
Because he's still like, so then he would still have the impulse of wanting to kill them, but he knows that he doesn't have to.
Yeah, like it's just like a nothing kill, right?
Okay.
He's just doing it for like humanity, right?
Okay.
He's like, fuck, this guy is like a useless, so we're just gonna he's either gonna die or he's not.
Okay.
Like he has the ability to do that, right?
Sure. Playing
he's
God
a superhero that way. Yeah.
Well, super villain kind of. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, Will.
yeah.
All supervillains are superheroes in their own minds.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
So anyway, so then he's like, it's your lucky quarter, man. He's like, hey, here, take it. It's your lucky quarter.
Yeah.
And the guy's like going to put it in his fucking pocket, right? And he's like, no. He's like, don't put it in your pocket. Don't put it in your pocket. It'll just be a regular coin then. And then it's your lucky quarter. And he's like, what does he say? He's like, don't put it in your pocket. It'll just be another coin. And then the guy's like, what the fuck? And he's like, which it is. And then it just like cuts away.
Yeah.
Like the scene just cuts away.
Yeah. That's I mean, the whole scene is the indication of he was going to murder this guy, but also that's the indication like, that's your lucky quarter because I didn't fucking kill you.
Yeah. Like you might as well hold on to that for life. Yeah.
So then, so basically, we get to Josh Brolin. He is settling in a hotel room, kind of motel, single floor motel.
Del Rio.
Del Rio, yes. In Del Rio. And he gets in this motel room. This is kind of intricate. There's a lot of stuff that goes on in this whole motel, for a couple scenes. But anyway, he is like looking for a place to stash the money. So he stashes it in the air vents, but he actually like puts it all the way.
It's like a T. It's like a T, right? He like pushes the air vent. He like pushes the air vent in and like it's like a split at the end, right? So it goes to like one or the other room from his room, right?
Yeah.
So basically he can push it in and then he can go to another room and like grab it from the other side, right?
Yeah.
And he like knocks it over so that you can't see it if you opened the air vent. You couldn't see it if you looked in there, but it's kind of just hidden around the corner. Yeah. So then he goes out and this is where he goes to the shoe store after. He goes to the shoe store and he goes to this guy and he's like asking for basically new cowboy boots. I forget. They have names for them. I don't know cowboy boot names.
Sure.
Larry's. I think they're called Larry's.
Larry's? Yeah. Larry's.
Yeah, I think
Stetsons.
Larry's something like that.
He said.
Larry's.
But he also is like, he's like, I need a tent. Or he's like, I need some tent poles. And the guy's like, what? He's like, you want me to order you a tent? And he's like, no, I just need tent poles. And the guy's like, well, you give me the model number. I'll get you a tent. And he's like, no, he's like, I just need a tent. So he ends up saying, the guy's like, well, what tent do you want? And he's like, the one with the most poles.
Yeah.
So
that's another Coen Brothers, like the bits of like funny, awkward comedy in these movies is very Coen Brothers, and that's what kind of makes them Coen Brothers movies. But so he gets the tent poles, is kind of shopping around, but then it cuts to Anton is out. He's like met up with these two other Mexican guys, and this is kind of where we figure.
No, they're white guys. They're white guys. They're
they white guys.
They're on the They're on the buyer's side.
They're on the buyer end. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So they're with
these two
Anton,
old like Southern Texan guys. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So they're with him, and this is where we kind of find out that Anton is like a hitman. That's what his kind of job is.
Oh,
so
interesting.
So these guys have now hired him. Yeah. Yeah, so these guys.
He seems so much more like an impulsive killer.
No, see, I don't think he's a hitman. I think he's got a part of the game here. I think he's a part. I think those guys. No.
He actually is a hitman. Like that's like fact in the movie. Like,
is that fact though? I thought he was. I thought he was part of the. Oh, okay. I thought he was part of the distribution side.
No. He's just like he's a contract killer.
Okay.
And now the money side, the people who were supposed to be paid money for these drugs. Or paid money for the drugs. Yeah, the people who paid the money for the drugs, because usually it's the Americans buying from the Mexicans. That makes sense. Yeah. They've hired him to track the money, to find out where it is. So he meets them down to the crime scene. He like opens up Josh Brolin's truck door and like gets like
takes the VIN number off. Yeah, takes the VIN number off. Yeah,
yeah, so that he can track him.
He's like, you got a Scroogey? And the guy gives him a screwdriver.
That's such a great weird character.
Yeah, he's like, you got a Scroogey?
Scroogey.
Yeah.
The guy's like, yeah, I do.
And then the other guys give him this device. It's kind of like beeping and it's kind of flashing red. It's like and it has like an antenna on it. We don't really know exactly what the device is, but we figure it out later. But he gets the device for them. Because this is going to help him find the money. And once he gets the device, he basically just fucking shoots the other two dudes. These two dudes who just hired him.
Yeah, he like literally like the guy. What sets him off, I think, is when like they meet up with the cars, right? And he gets out and they have a 3-seater truck, and the old Southern guys are like, "You mind riding, bitch?" And then it just like cuts away, right?
Yeah.
And then they come rolling up to the scene, right? And they're like walking through all these bodies and shit. And he's like, "That's a dead dog." And he's like, "Yes, it is." And then he goes down, he finds his body on the ground, and he just picks up this pistol and he just loads it and cocks it. And the guy's got a flashlight. The two Southern old like dudes are like, they got this flashlight. He's like, "Let me see that for a minute." And he like gives the flashlight to Javier Bardem. And Javier Bardem just shines it right in this guy's eyes and goes bang, bang, and just executes both these guys.
So this is what I mean. Like he just like
at this point,
he's definitely like a serial killer type dude, but he is actually a contract killer as a fact in the movie.
Who also conducts business.
But
he's
also,
like,
he's also
this
just
is
like,
fun. May as well
I'm going to find the money for myself.
Too.
Yeah.
I think that's where I was confused, right? I thought he was a part of it, but I think at that point he was like, you know what? Fuck these guys. I'm just going to grab this money for myself, right?
Oh, for sure, yeah.
And so he is actually now just like, fuck it, I want the money. And he's not even like, I just want to kill everybody.
Well, I think part of me thinks that it was his money because it's so personal with Brolin, right? He's like, I got to find this guy. I want to get my money back, but I also want to fucking kill him and kill everybody he knows, right?
Yeah.
So I think we're mixing up scenes, but we'll keep going. But the next scene basically is Javier is like, through the truck VIN number, has like located like where he lives, where Josh Brolin lives. Relatively, he doesn't know what trailer, but he goes to like the trailer park office. And again, it's another Coen Brothers kind of character actress. He's like, I'm looking for Llewellyn Moss's trailer. He's like, well, I can't give that information to you. It's like,
she's like, I can't talk towards that right now. And then he's like, and then he's like, well, where is he? And she's like, I can't give out no information. And then he's like, where does he work? And she's like, I can't give out no information. And he just keeps going with this grin on his face, like, where does he work? And then she's like, did you not hear me? I can't give out no information. And you think like he's just going to fucking blow her head off, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But he just like walks out of the office like nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I don't know how he actually figures out which trailer it is. That's his.
Well, he gets the VIN number, right? And then he goes to the trailer and he fucking uses that air gun and he pops
no, but
the
I
lock.
don't know how he finds out. Oh, no, he's wondering. Okay, so he does know.
He's finding out. Yeah, he already went to the trailer. He's looking out
that's
where
true.
they
So,
work, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
so he goes to the trailer. He pops the lock off with the bolt pistol.
The air
So
gun.
that's another use for it, the air gun.
But there's a big shot of where they show the
Jeez.
lock like on like hitting the wall, right?
Yeah.
There's like a
It's
big
like
scar in the wall,
Whoa.
and the
Yeah,
lock's
'cause-
just on the ground, right?
So just to show you how much fucking air pressure's in this damn thing.
Yeah.
You can, like,
And here's
shoot it.
your milk correlation too, right?
Yeah, so he kind of
Yeah.
is looking around the trailer, and then he kind of walks over to the fridge, opens it up, and he grabs a glass, not unlike this one,
That looks just like that, actually.
I
of
love it.
milk. He goes and he sits down in the couch, and he just kind of like drinks it, and then he's kind of staring at the blank
TV.
TV,
Yeah,
TV
there's
that's off.
like
He sees a reflection. Now, I don't know.
I
is
was
this,
trying
like,
to figure that out too.
important? Yeah, I don't know.
Well, because Tommy Lee Jones
Does
gets
the
there
same
right
thing.
after, and
Yeah.
they sit in the same chair.
Well,
right?
yeah. So now we kind of got to go back. So Tommy Lee Jones, at the same time, has been investigating every fucking thing that's
Right.
been going on so far. So he is getting horses from his wife. It's his wife, right? That's
Yeah,
his
yeah.
wife.
She's like
Yeah.
a cattle manager.
Yeah.
or
So
something,
and
whatever.
he's getting horses out there to investigate that crime scene with all the bodies. He's doing weird monologues in diners.
But he's
Wait,
also
what?
being a huge pussy about the whole thing, right? He's also like, you know, they're like they go to the scene once, right? And the young guy's like meets him at breakfast, and he's like, man, he's like, you know, let's get out there again. The DEA is going to be out there, and he's sitting there eating his breakfast, and he's like, oh well, have there been any new bodies accumulating out there? And the young guy's like, no, and he's like, well, I guess I get to skip it. You know what I mean? Like he's almost scared. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
He's
he's a
almost
little bit. Yeah,
He's a little bit
and
like
that's kind of his whole character arc, is that he's like this old sheriff who is just kind of not. He's kind of done. He doesn't want.
he's like ready
be a
for
cop
retirement,
anymore.
basically. Yeah.
Is it because he senses how big of like a fucking thing it is? Like he's like, this is gonna be pretty deep.
Well, the guy killed
Yeah.
like what a fucking 5 people like in
Yeah.
like 2 days. Like he's like
Yeah.
shit. Like
Yeah,
this
they
is
see
over
all-
my head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they investigate. They see all the bodies out there. They find the burnt. They find a burnt out car. The car that Anton stole from the dude.
Yep.
So
yeah.
they're tracking him, but they're also at the same time tracking these drugs and the money and whoever did this, which leads them to Llewellyn because they run the plates for the truck, Llewellyn's truck that was left there. So they show up to his trailer, and then they're looking around basically exactly how Anton was looking around. And Tommy Lee Jones sits in the couch, and then his partner, what's his name? It's a funny name too.
It doesn't matter though. He's like nothing really. He's just like the young guy.
Yeah, it's true. Wendell is his
The
name.
it's the funniest line of the movie though, that this spot you're talking about right now. What he's like,
you go, if you
yeah,
remember, yeah.
yeah. So he's sitting there and he's looking at the milk, right? And they got the guns out. They saw the lock. The lock's blown off the wall, right?
Yeah.
They're like, holy fuck. So they sit down and the milk's got still sweat on it, right? So he was just there like fucking 10 minutes ago or 20 minutes ago, right? And he's like, Wendell's like, we got to circulate this, right? He's like, we got to circulate this. And then Tommy Lee Jones, like the veteran that he is, right? He goes, what are we going to put across the airwaves? Looking for a man who just recently drunk milk?
It's a great line, yeah.
Yeah.
It is a good one, yeah.
Yeah. It's like,
Yeah.
like, what else do you got on him? You don't know who he is.
Yeah.
Like, all right.
But I love, like, whether it's like detective shows or whatever it is, when they point out like a detail like that. I love when that happens in a movie. So yeah, Tommy Lee Jones points out that it's like still moist
Yeah,
to the milk,
like,
meaning
yeah.
that it was just
Yeah.
taken out of the fridge. Like,
And then they show that picture like this. He's sitting in the same seat as Javier Bardem was, looking in the TV, and they show that same shot of his head, right? With
Of the reflection,
hat
yeah.
on. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what that
Again,
means yet.
yeah.
Like I don't even know, but
Yeah. Maybe I'll look it up, post it later, you know?
yeah. I think I read it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think this is where I think we kind of maybe skip scenes. I think the next scenes are actually Josh Brolin, because we forgot the part where Josh Brolin, once he gets to his hotel room, he goes to the hotel clerk and he's like, I'd like to get another room.
Oh,
No, he
he's
gets
like-
spooked. Remember, he gets spooked.
Oh, true.
He leaves the curtains closed or partially closed, and he fucks off for the day, right? And then he's in the cab, and he comes rolling by the room, and he's like, "Keep fucking going," because something was off in the room, right? The Mexicans, I guess, were onto him, right? Because he saw the truck there.
Okay.
Yeah,
so he's like
that's true,
freaking. He's like freaking out about it, right?
Yeah. But there is a scene where he goes to the hotel clerk and he's like, I'd like to get another room, please. And she's like, another room? You mean you want to switch rooms? No, I want another room. He's like,
nobody looks at the map.
Yeah, he looks at the map. He's like, how about like 36? And she's like, that's got two double beds. Because he's looking at the map of the vents, right? So he knows which rooms are
so he
connected
can,
to the same ventilation
because he won't go in the same room, right? Because he's probably
he's still like, I want to get a room on top of the room, like the same room.
Yeah.
So it's a funny little scene there. So he gets this other room, and then he checks into that room, and he's putting together his camping pole setup. That's where he got all these camp poles. And then takes like a hanger and
he's like
tapes
taping
the hanger to the
up.
pole so that he can reach the briefcase through the vent system.
And like pull it out.
Psycho. I don't know who's more psycho now.
Meanwhile, Anton Chigurh, we see he's driving around.
So that's his last name? Did we address
Chigurh,
this?
yeah. Not yet. I don't think so.
No. But it doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does.
No, that's his name.
The name of
That's his name, Anton Chigurh.
Now I know. You could have said pour some Anton on me. Would have been the same. Whatever.
So he's driving around and he's got this device and it's beeping, and we kind of figure out, it's like a GPS. So we deduce that the money actually has like a tracker.
Oh no!
With it.
Yeah, so he's like driving along, and all of a sudden it's like it shows like the tracker on the seat, and all of a sudden it just goes blip, and you're like, oh fuck! Like
But
that's
before
what
that,
is.
he's driving down a bridge. And this is just to show how much of a sociopath he is. He sees like a crow like perched on the bridge, and as he drives by, he like takes his gun out and tries to fucking shoot it.
Shoot it out the window. He's just like, it's crazy.
Yeah, just like a crazy impulsive killer that is like, let's also make some money. What the
so
fuck?
he's
So
driving
weird.
and it's beeping, and it beeps more and more as he's coming towards this hotel. So he turns into the hotel, and as he's driving down the rooms, it's beeping, 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 and then he passes the room, and then it stops beeping as much. Yeah. He backs up and keeps beeping.
It's like,
now, so he kind of.
But he's tracked on Josh Brolin's first room.
Yes,
that's what he's picking up, right? And Josh Brolin actually is behind that room now.
Yeah.
So then
he's
he looks
behind it to the left. I don't know.
So then he like looks over and he sees one of those fucking Mexican trucks there too, right beside that room. So he's like, "Oh my god! Like these guys have found the money."
Yeah.
Right? So he like checks in, like right next door or whatever, right? And then you see him. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, he checks in, and then he does this serial killer shit, and he like takes off his shoes, and then he
like opens the door, right? Turns the light on, so he knows what the room looks like. Yeah,
yeah. And then he like takes off his shoes. He preps. He's got a shotgun, I believe.
Yeah, it's like this is like the first time I've ever seen a fucking silencer on a goddamn shotgun.
Yeah.
Man. I was like, what is that fucking thing? Like he's just like sitting on the bed, like. And he's got this giant shotgun with a fucking huge like silver silencer on it. And I'm like, what is going to happen now?
Oh,
like unbelievable, this guy.
Okay.
Yeah. And then
amazing
it cuts to him. It cuts to him and it's just a shot of his feet, and he's like in socks so that no one can hear his footsteps. And he's walking, holding his fucking tank. and he walks right up to the door.
Yeah, he's got the
that's-
gun and the tank, like just like
Yeah.
a
Oh my
ball.
god, because
Yeah.
he needs both.
So he walks up to this. Now he walks up to it's the room beside Josh Brolin's.
It's the
room?
it's the Mexican room where he knows the
Oh,
truck
okay.
is, right? He sees
Yeah,
that
yeah.
big fucking truck, right? And he's like, oh, well,
Yeah.
they got to be there, right? Like,
For some reason, I thought the Mexicans broke into Josh Brolin's room and were waiting for him. But is that I'm not right?
You know what?
Because I can't
it's
remember.
either
Does he
one or-
leave that room and go to the next room, or does he stay in that room?
Well, because Brolin just abandons that room, right?
Well, yeah,
and he
but
just goes
still
to
owns
the
it, though. He's
yeah.
adds
So
it on
I think
top
they
of
were
his room.
beside it, right? And like,
yeah.
like you know what I mean? Like the beeper would be going off in between those two rooms, right? You know what I mean?
yeah,
Yeah.
it's true. So
He's like, oh, the Mexicans are in there, yeah.
yeah, so he uses his fucking his bolt rifle thing to shoot the lockout, and he immediately like opens the door, and there's a Mexican guy like just like laying up,
He's reaching for the gun, right?
Yeah, and then he fucking shoots him with
He shoots this guy in the
shotgun.
arm, and his arm is just like it's
Oh,
just
yeah,
like,
he, like,
it's like
flies
he
off.
shoots this guy in the arm, and like his arm is just like fucking paper,
Ew.
right? And then he
Yeah.
blasts him in the chest, and he's dead, right?
This was
Yeah.
with the shotgun?
Yeah,
or
he
the
like
bolt?
opens the door and
Silence
just
the
like
shotgun,
boom.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
like a shotgun though. Like it's crazy.
And then
That can't
another fucking
exist, can it?
another guy like
Oh, yeah.
jump. I don't know
No
if it
way.
exists fully.
It totally
I mean,
does.
no,
I've looked it up.
Sorry, it exists, but it doesn't exist at that noise level. It's a lot louder than that.
Yeah,
which
but
is
it's like
actually is
it's-
pretty loud.
But
than
the
that.
fucking
Silencers?
silencer is like fucking huge. It's like
Oh,
2
yeah.
feet long.
I mean,
like
even regular silencers, like
Are
if you
still
fucking yeah,
like
they're
you'd
loud.
still hear it.
yeah,
But
Yeah.
so then another guy like jumps out of the bathroom and he fucking
like-
shoots that dude.
yeah, he kills that motherfucker, and he starts shooting rounds. He's got like this like Mac 10 or whatever, right? And he like
Yeah.
gets shot in the chest, and he's like wasted, but he's like,
Oh, yeah,
and he
yeah.
shoots all these rounds up on the roof, and
Oh,
Josh
no.
Brolin's on the other side of the fucking wall, right?
Yeah.
And he's
Yeah.
trying to grab the money, and he's like, "What the fuck was that?"
Yeah. Yeah.
And then he like, and then Javier Bardem's like just a psychopath, right? He's just like walking through the room, and then he like looks in the mirror of the bathroom, and he sees this guy's fucking hand move behind the
Oh,
shower, right?
Yeah.
So he like pans in, and he like scopes on this guy, and the guy's like, please, like in Spanish, he's like, no hable, whatever. Like he's like, I don't
Yeah.
want to die, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, like,
He
he's
is
like-
fucking scared as shit.
Yeah, he's scared as shit. And then he point the gun at him, and he's like, how did you find the money? And the guy's like, no. And he just like, this guy's not gonna give me any answers. And he just like sticks the gun in there, and he just like closes the shower curtain, and he just like the silencer, and just kills
And
this
the
fucking
blood
guy.
splatters.
Oh,
but
it's just
not on
everywhere.
him.
Weird.
Yeah, because he closed the curtain, right?
Oh, Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Oh,
Seriously,
yeah.
like so quick to think of like how to fuck these people up
Oh, dude.
and get like
Oh,
totally
yeah.
away with it.
So then he's like convinced that he's found the money, right? So he like sits down on the bed. There's like a dead dude on the bed. The first guy that he obliterated, his arms
Just
like
beside
a
him.
fucking chicken leg. You know what I mean? So he's sitting down beside him, and he puts the gun down, and he takes his socks off for some fucking reason. And he just
he's getting comfortable.
No, because they're full of blood. There's a bunch of blood. on
yeah.
the
So he
socks. Yeah.
throws him in. He throws him like on the other guy. The other guy that is in the washroom, like dead. He just like you can hear them like just flop on the ground because they're so quiet.
Ew.
And he's
Yeah,
like
so he
looking through
starts-
all the
yeah. He searches like the drawers under the bed and all the different drawers in the room looking for the money. And then he kind of like, there's a shot of him kind of like getting up from looking at the drawers, and his head like covers the vent. And then he kind of like
his
turns
mushroom
around.
cut covers the-
Yeah. Yeah, basically. It is. That's it.
Yeah.
And he turns around and he sees the vent. So he like opens up the vent and he sees nothing. Because at this point,
he sees these
Oh,
scrape
well.
marks.
yeah, he sees scrape
Oh.
marks. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
From when Josh
Oh.
Brolin like put it out there.
So you
Okay.
might be right, actually. I guess they probably took his room over, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Because
yeah.
you could actually
Yeah.
see the scrape marks that he pushed the case in, right?
Yeah, because
Okay.
they were waiting for him at that room. So
Yeah.
Mm.
so he
Wow.
so he
So
But at
wait,
this
so
point-
this Josh,
Yeah.
like country dude, he is at this point completely oblivious that there's Mexicans in his room. No, because he passed the
No,
truck.
he knows.
So
He figured
No, he
Yeah,
knows
he-
because he heard the gunshots when the guy got shot.
yeah,
He was
but
like, "Oh fuck,
prior
I
to
gotta
that,
go."
he anticipated.
yeah, that's why
that
he
they were
got a
there.
new. Yeah, he anticipated that there was
Okay.
going to be people waiting
Okay.
for him, so that's why he got
Gotcha.
another room, and then he like so he's
So then
all He's
Yeah.
smart.
It
Yeah.
cuts to like this scene where it's like he's like in a like this African American's fellow's like car,
Yeah.
and the guy's like looking at him, and he's like,
He's like a taxi driver.
"Yeah, no, he's not. He's because he was hitchhiking, right?
Was he?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
He
I
goes,
thought it was a
remember,
taxi
he's like,
driver.
no, because he's like Josh Brolin's sitting there with the case, like he's like this, right? And the guy's like
yeah.
staring at him, and he's like, you shouldn't do that. And Josh Brolin's like, what do you mean? He's like hitchhiking. He's like, even a guy your age, like you shouldn't be hitchhiking.
Oh,
And it's just
okay.
like showing him, like it's kind of like a thing where it's like, hey, like you're in too deep, man. Like you know what I mean? You shouldn't be fucking around like that. Basically, is what he's saying, right?
Yeah.
So he gets the fuck out of there, basically.
So he's just like, pull over, let me get out.
Yeah.
This is him leaving the hotel though. So he got his case and he's leaving the hotel.
Yeah, he got the
Yeah.
case and he basically, so he goes to that, now he goes to like a different hotel.
Yeah. So
Why
he-
hasn't
and a
he
different-
like
He goes to a
scattered
different
mad-
town. Well, he goes to a different town, a whole different town.
that's
Well,
Del. I think he's
leave
in
the
Del Rio
freaking
now, right?
state.
No,
He's
he's
near
in,
the he's near the border. He's near the
It's
border.
called Eagle Pass is where he is.
Yeah,
And
Eagle
it's,
Pass. Yeah.
Del Rio was where the last hotel is. Now he's in Eagle Pass and it's right near the Mexican border.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's at this new hotel. Now, when do we get introduced to like some of these other characters? Like,
Okay, so now it cuts to like there's a pan, there's a view of like this super tall glass office building, right? And the elevator's going up, right?
yeah,
And all of a sudden it's like ding, and the guy walks in, and it's
Woody
Carson
Harrelson.
Wells. Carson Wells.
Carson
Woody
Wells.
Harrelson. Carson
Oh, nice.
Wells is the guy's name. Okay, so
Okay.
Yeah,
he comes walking into this office, and this guy's just fucking too busy to talk to him, right? He's just like signing checks,
Sure.
right? And he's like, how well do you know Anton Chigurh? That's where you find out what his name is, right?
yeah.
And he's like, well, I seen him November 28th. And you know what? This guy is bullshitting, this Carson Wells guy. He
Yeah.
thinks that he fucking is the biggest, toughest guy ever, but he wears these fancy suits and these fucking white hats. And he's way too
Yeah.
out in the open, right?
Woody Harrelson is like, I mean, Woody Harrelson, he's basically playing Woody Harrelson like in this movie.
Like
He's very,
legit. Yeah.
like he's got the southern accent, he's got a cowboy hat, he's like stylish, and he is also like basically a hitman as well. He's a contract killer as well.
Okay.
And this guy who basically is this guy
He's
is
the
like
money
main-
side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the one who provided the money. This is the guy who wants to buy these drugs and sell these drugs.
Okay.
He's this kind of high-powered businessman looking guy,
Not
played by
Woody
Stephen
Harrelson.
Root, who
Oh,
is
this guy.
he's in
I hate
Office
him.
Space.
I hate it. I
You hate him?
Ah,
Really?
he's just
I
always
love
plays.
this
He
actor.
always plays the shittiest characters, right?
Well, he's always like he's a character actor. He's so great. He's in
Yeah,
a lot
he
of Coen Brothers movies in general, but he's great. So basically, this Carson Wells guy is also now being hired to find the money. Basically, he's like a contract killer slash.
I
Like,
don't think he's hired to find the
bounty
money.
hunter. No, What is
He's
he
hired.
to
He's
do?
hired to. He's hired to stop Chigurh because Chigurh's
Oh, yeah.
killing all these fucking people, right?
Yeah.
I guess
Okay,
so. Yeah,
Yeah, because that's what he says. He's like, you got to stop this colossal.
that's
dope
true. Yeah,
fucking
you
shit,
got,
right?
basically
Yeah.
he's hired to clean everything up as
Yeah.
a as a
So
criminal.
Woody
but-
Harrelson's the guy buying.
No.
The
Stephen
guy-
Root is the guy buying. I don't know that dude's name.
I don't think
It's,
you really get to know it. Actually, I think he's just like
no.
the
On
money.
Wikipedia, it's just man who hires Wells.
That's amazing.
But we
Damn
deduced
Wikipedia.
that he's the guy. He's the head guy who wanted
Yeah.
to buy the drugs. He's the
Okay.
money. So he hires Wells to basically clean up everything, kill Anton, find the money, just get everything sorted
clean it
out.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
There's
he
a lot
wants-
there's a lot of like
Yeah.
funny back and forth and monologues and stuff that are I'm sure
Well,
like
the-
useful, but
well, the
I
big
don't remember them.
Yeah.
I
the
don't
the
remember.
big thing where you find out that these people are like distributors is where he's like Carson at the end is like, I counted the floors from the ground up here, and there's a floor missing, right?
Yeah.
And then the
yeah,
guy's like, oh, we'll look into it, and then it cuts away, right? So
yeah.
you figure like that's like they're like processing like
Their
or
money
distribution.
laundering or
yeah,
drug,
they're like
yeah,
crazy
floor.
thing, right?
What do you mean there's a floor missing?
Well, he counted
Like
all
he-
the floors up, and like only on the elevator there was like, you know, whatever, 20 floors, but there was actually 21 floors from the ground. So they're like hiding a floor. into the building. You know what I mean?
Oh.
Yeah.
Or it could be that thing where a lot of buildings don't have a 13th.
13th,
floor,
yeah.
Right.
That's what I
Superstition.
thought right
That's
away,
what
too.
I
Yeah.
would think. Huh.
That'd be a good place
Anyway,
to
so-
hide one, though.
Yeah.
True.
Now Carson is part of the mix. This
That's
other
what they
guys.
do. Oh my god.
So
every
Carson's part of the
apartment
mix. So he's hired to find the money, kill Anton, do it all basically. So Josh Brolin makes it to this new hotel in Eagle Pass.
Right.
He gets to the front desk. This dude's got a little kitty cat. He's feeding with like milk and
Milk,
whatnot. Oh,
yeah.
milk.
Milk.
Coming back. Milk comes back.
Back to the
Wait.
milk. Boom.
Back to the milk.
Milk.
It is
I love
so
that.
good.
That damn camera is so sexy.
It's so good. Yeah, Dylan's got
Camera
a
one,
big old
camera
crush
two.
on your
Camera
profile.
one, camera two.
Camera one, camera two. Camera one.
So he pays the clerk extra money to be like, if anyone checks in, you phone me.
And he's like, by
Mm.
anyone, I mean any swinging dick. That's what he said.
Yeah, that's what he says, yeah.
What the
He's
hell
like,
does
don't
that
phone
mean?
me if it's some
Some
family.
fucking
Just-
hooker checks in.
yeah,
Oh,
phone me
okay.
if it's
If it's a big guy with a bowl cut, basically.
Well, he doesn't even know what Anton looks like. He doesn't even know that Anton's after him, really. He knows
True.
that someone else is after him, though.
Yeah, but he doesn't know.
He hears
who
the
it is, yeah.
firefight,
You're right.
and he knows the Mexicans are there. So now he knows someone else is after him.
Right.
He thinks they're
right.
probably Mexican at that point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Does he? Really?
Well,
Because he never
hears the-
sees Anton.
Hmm.
No, so yeah, he doesn't know who this guy is. And so he's in this hotel, and obviously, so he's looking through the money.
No,
Because-
it's before that. It's before that. Remember, he's doing the same scene as when he was when he couldn't sleep in the trailer.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
And it's like that view, and he's like, he says to himself, he's like, there's just no goddamn way. He
Yeah,
can't
that's
sleep,
what he
right?
says. Yeah, there ain't no.
That's when he
goddamn
gets
way.
up and he looks at
Yeah.
the money, right? And he's like feeling through the money, and he's like, oh fuck, there's something fucked up to this. So
Yeah.
he like lifts this one bill up,
Yeah.
and there's a fucking tracking device
Yeah.
in the money. And he's like,
so smart.
God damn it. He's like, this is why I've been getting fucked over this whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then he puts the
Oh.
tracking device on the table, and he fucking turns the light off. And he just bought this sawed-off shotgun at the store. Remember, he had that
Mhm.
sawed-off shotgun. So
Oh,
he
yeah.
literally like sits on his bed, and he's like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just gonna like meet my maker. Like, you know what I mean? So he puts the tracking device on the table, and he sits there, and he's got the gun fucking pointed.
Yeah.
And all
And
of a
he's-
sudden, yeah. He
So
hears this
he-
big ruckus. You hear this
Well,
ruckus
does he hear
downstairs.
ruckus or he just?
Yeah,
does
you
he
can hear it.
Oh,
Yeah,
does
you
he?
can hear it.
Oh,
Yeah, you
okay.
can hear this big ruckus downstairs,
Yeah.
like a chair flipped over or whatever, right?
Yeah,
So he's, like, tripping
he picks
balls.
Up the phone. He picks up the phone.
Calls,
he phones the
yeah.
front desk, and no one answers. So he knows the
Uh-oh.
dude's there,
Oh no.
and you just hear the footsteps walking, and then the
No, you can see the
shadow
light.
underneath.
You can see the
Yeah.
light under the
Oh.
door, right? And he like
Yeah.
stands in front of the door,
Yeah.
and then he walks away.
But you
and then
hear
he
the
turns
beeping
the
too,
light
I think,
off.
right?
Yeah, and then
you
he
hear
turns the
beep, yeah.
light off. Right,
The
he turns the
hallway
light
light.
off. The guy turns the
his
hallway
bedroom
light
light.
off.
Yeah.
No, but he turns the hallway
does it?
light off because
Oh,
he can
he
see his
does,
feet,
okay.
right? He
Yes,
turns the
yeah.
hallway light off, and then he's like, "Oh my god, like shit's about to go
He's
down."
smart too.
And then all of a
Oh
sudden,
yeah.
you're standing there. This is the best scene of the fucking movie by far. He's standing there, or you don't even see anybody. He's like got the shotgun pointed at the fucking door, right? He's like all worried, and all of a sudden, all you hear is boom, and the lock comes flying off, and it hits him in the fucking chest.
No.
And he's
yeah.
like, oh. And he just fires a shot right at the door, right at the corner of the door. Like he shoots a
Yeah.
shotgun shell at the door.
Oh,
And then he just
no.
grabs the money, fucking throws it out the window, and he just jumps out of the window. But as he's jumping out, fucking Anton shoots him through the fucking door
Oh,
and hits
yeah.
him in the shoulder.
Oh,
Yeah.
So he like falls to the ground, right? And he's like running to get cover.
He jumps out the window.
Yeah,
and he, like, I think he had to have broken his ankle or something.
at
Like, it's
least.
crazy. It's a,
And
yeah.
so like, but adrenaline takes over at that point,
Yeah,
right?
but he runs basically right back into the hotel.
The hotel, yeah.
Huh.
And he crosses
and, like,
the path.
Yeah, and he sees the dead like guy at the front desk.
Well, he doesn't see him. He just sees
no.
he sees like a door and the cat's milk is spilt. Remember?
Oh, yes, that's true. Yeah. So Anton probably killed the cat too.
Yeah, he probably killed everything. He doesn't care. Yeah. So then he finally like he's sneaking through the hotel, right? And he finally gets out, and he's got this like courtyard path where he can run. But Anton's already on his ass. He's fucking standing in the window at the top with the gun, and he's fucking firing shots at him, right?
Oh yeah. So
he's like,
shootout occurs. They're like,
good God.
Basically, Anton's shooting Josh Brolin, but Josh Brolin's running away. And then he like, what happens? Oh yeah, he
stops behind the corner, right? And he's like, he knows he's shot. Remember, he's shot here, and he's like looking. He's like, oh fuck. He's like, the side of him's all shot, and bloody, right?
Oh no.
Yeah.
So then he sees this. He's like waiting there, and he's like looking, and the streets are all clear, right? So he's like, okay. And he sees this fucking pickup truck roll around the corner. So he's like, you know what? I'm gonna fucking go to this pickup truck. I'm gonna stop this guy, and I'm gonna get away. So he runs up. He fucking's got the gun out. He goes to the passenger side and he gets in the car, and it's an old farmer guy. And he's like, hey, I'm not going to hurt you. He's like, I'm not going to hurt you. And before he even finishes his fucking sentence, this bullet comes flying through the fucking windshield, and it fucking shoots the guy in the neck.
The farmer?
Shoots the farmer in the neck, and he's like, and he's like, bullets are flying into this guy. And then Josh Brolin like actually looks concerned at this point for the first time in the movie. He's like, oh my God. So he puts her into drive, and he starts driving, right? And the bullets just flying through the car.
Oh my
and like you can see where they're coming from. Yeah. And he's got his head down, and there are just fucking bullets flying into the side of the car, right?
Yeah.
And he's like tripping balls. So he's like, oh, you know what? I'm going to be smart and like make it look like I got shot. So he like makes this like big swerve, right? Sure, and he crashes into these other cars.
Mm-hmm.
And then he like sneaks out of the passenger seat, and he goes and hides behind this car, right? And then all of a sudden you see Javier Bardem coming up with like fucking who knows what's in his hand. I don't even know. And he's walking up to the car, and he's like ready to like confirm the kill, right? And he sees all this blood at the last minute on the ground. He looks at the trail, and the trail's going towards Josh Brolin, right?
Yeah.
And at the last second, Josh Brolin pops out of the fucking side of the car, and Javier Bardem realizes what happened, and he tries to jump out of the way, but Brolin gets a shot off, and he shoots him in the leg.
Yeah.
So Brolin starts like firing all these fucking shots off, like where he's going to be to try to kill the guy, right? And he walks over.
Basically, he disappears like fucking Batman. He's like, he's gone.
Yeah, he's just like gone.
Wait, Javier?
Yeah, he's just gone. He's like,
what?
He got away, and he's basically just like, I'm not messing with this guy right now.
What the fuck? This guy, like, I just envision, honestly, Andre the Giant. And
with a bowl cut.
Yeah, Andre the Giant with a bowl cut.
Javier Bardem is a big dude. He's a big guy.
Is he that big though? I think he's like 6'2".
He's pretty big, though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Well,
but he's pretty built.
But they make him look like he's like every shot's like from the bottom, right? So he looks like he's like 6'8",
intimidating.
Big dope or something. Just because the cut, the mushroom cut. But like, I just don't envision this guy moving that fast.
Oh, this guy's a fucking ninja, man.
Weird.
This guy's like hardcore. Yeah.
So weird.
So basically, so like Josh Brolin's injured, like bad. He's got fucking bad bullet wounds. But he gets to like, because it's a border town, so he gets to like the border crossing, which is probably nearby. And he's like, it's weird. I guess because it's the 80s, it's probably not that like hard to just cross into the border in Mexico.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's got like he got the case. Does he have the case of money then? No, he doesn't.
So he's got the case of money, but he's like fucking shot up, right? There's blood everywhere. Yeah. Like they show the scene of like his foot, and it's just like dripping blood out his pants, right?
Yeah.
So he comes like walking. He's like walking down the fucking street to get across the border, and he sees these fucking three guys who are like young kids who are like over, just kind of like chilling out, right? And they got a beer and they're like partying along, and then they stop and they fucking see Josh Brolin, and he's like dying basically, right? He's like, and they're like, were you in a car
Yeah.
accident? And he's like, I was in a car accident, totally. Right.
Well, he does the Terminator thing, and he's like, how much for the jacket?
Yeah. I need your boots. your bike and your motorcycle. Yeah, whatever he says. Yeah. So then the guys are like, yeah.
So he's like, well, what do you mean? How much? What do you mean? How much? Or like he says like $100 or whatever, and he's like
$500. He's like, I'll give you $500 for that coat.
For that coat, and he's like,
done deal.
Well, let me see the money first. He's like, well, give me the jacket, and then they do a handoff for the money. This one dude's
waste
like,
time, buddy? You're dying.
Yeah, I was like, I'm gonna get this money. His other friends are like, dude, let's just help this guy. We don't need to pay.
One guy's like, no, he's like, give me that beer too. Josh Brolin says. The guy's like, how much? And the guy's like,
friends are
like, just give him the fucking beer, man.
I love it.
But before this, though, is it after? When does he stash the money?
So on his way over, right?
Oh yeah, just before he crosses into Mexico.
Yeah, he like steps on this like curb and he fucking whips the money over the fence. Like right beside the river, so he kind of has like a reference of like where it is.
Yeah,
you know
into a bunch of weeds. Yeah.
And then he crosses the border.
Yeah. And the Mexican guard there is like kind of half asleep, but
he's like passed out. He's like, passed out. And then he like wakes up.
Open. Yeah.
And then Josh Brolin's got the coat over all the blood, right? And he's got the beer, and he's just like, he's like, hey. And the guy's like, okay. And he lets him go, right?
What the fuck? He's so smart.
He's a Vietnam vet.
I know, but like, how?
Oh, they do that all the time over there. They get drunk and fucking shoot each other. And
I'm not sure if it cuts.
Like, it's fine.
I'm not sure if it cuts right to this, but to him in Mexico. But I think we need to, because I don't know if we missed the scene, or we need to go back to the Sheriff Bell. At this point, now knows who Llewellyn Moss is, knows that he's got a wife, and he basically like contacts the wife.
Yeah, that's pretty much on par where we are. Yeah.
Yeah. So he basically is like, look, like you tell me if you hear from him. I believe he's in a lot of danger, but she's,
she's
wife,
loyal.
So he's like, yeah, she's loyal. So she's like, no, there's nothing. Side note, her mother is hilarious in this movie.
I am old and I am not well. That's what she says, right?
Only line.
She's like, I'm sick. Have you ever seen Donnie Darko?
I got the cancer. That's what she says.
Yeah. Have you seen Donnie Darko?
Of course.
Yeah, she's Sparkle Motion Mom.
Is she? Is that her?
Yeah, that's the same actress.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
She's like, I doubt your commitment to Sparkle Motion.
I don't even know what that is.
Donnie Darko.
You don't know
I know
Donnie
what Donnie
Darko?
Darko is. I swear I've seen it, but I don't remember that at all.
It's pretty intense.
No, I know.
Definitely.
I know.
Well, that's why when we start our Patreon, we have to have a whole series of don't remember it.
Yeah,
so then we can just redo all the movies that you've seen but haven't remembered.
There's, again, so many, man. Bad memory.
Yeah. Anyway, that's a side note. It's kind of side. It's kind of important. But
she
Bell is still on
though.
the case.
Yeah.
Sheriff Bell is still on the case.
Okay, good. They
so
just
Josh
throw him back in there to be like, hey, he's still here. Don't forget. Back to the excitement.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the next scene is very Breaking Bad vibes. Josh Brolin gets woken up by like a mariachi band playing for him. Basically,
yeah, he's like passed out on the ground. Yeah, he's like passed on the ground with his coat on and everything's covered up. And like the mariachi band's like la 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 la, and then they're like looking at him and they're like, oh man, is this like a bomb gonna tip us?
Yeah, he like opens up his jacket and he's fucking bleeding hardcore.
And they're like la la la. And they just stop and they're like, oh God. And he like has this like bloody $100 bill and he's like, medical, por favor. And you know where that cuts at is when he was like talking to the other Mexican guy, agua, por favor, right? And he's like, medical, por favor, right? And they helped him.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. They do a lot of those like, and then they do it again, but in a different way, or like now that this character is doing the same thing. It's very good. Tableaus,
Mm-hmm.
So then basically they take him to does it cut again to Anton?
No, it goes to he wakes up in the hospital and Carson Wells is fucking sitting there with a bouquet of flowers.
Yeah.
What?
And he's like, well, there's bad people looking for you, this Anton guy, blah 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 blah.
Yeah, he's
and
bad news.
He's like, look how quick it was for me to find you here. Like, you know what I mean? Blah, 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 blah. And Carson's basically like, you need to give me this money or I have no reason to help you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You need to tell me where the money is. And basically, he's like, fuck you. He's basically like, I can handle it myself.
He's like,
and
I fucking got shot twice for this money. I'm not giving it
Yeah.
to you, boy.
And Carson
What?
even says, like, he was like, well, you know, like, your wife might not be safe. Basically, he's like, informs him, like, he knows everything about Llewellyn by this point.
Yeah.
And like, so does Anton. So like, you're not messing with some regular dude. This guy's going to hurt you and
This
your
guy's
family.
hardcore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
no, that bowl
But,
cut.
but
you
he's
don't
just
go
like,
to the barber
no.
and say, give me the bowl cut unless you're hardcore. Unless you can live up to like
Yeah, so he's like,
the
no, yeah.
antithesis of the haircut. Yeah.
Yeah. So he dismisses Carson. Meanwhile, though, Anton, who is severely wounded in his leg, right? Yeah, it's his leg, I guess.
Yeah, it's like upper thigh.
Yeah. He's still in the border town at this point, right?
Yeah, he's in
still-
like whatever El Paso, like where they were when they got in that shootout, right?
Yeah. So he's in the town, and he takes like he goes up to this car. He opens up like the gas tank,
Right beside a drugstore, like right in
Right
front of a
beside it,
drugstore. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
opens up the gas tank. Does he rip his shirt or does he just have a?
Oh, he
rag?
has
I
like a
think?
piece of rag and he just like
Yeah.
sticks it in the fucking gas tank.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he lights it on fire, and
And
then
he
Yes.
walks into the drugstore.
Yeah, yeah.
And the car
Yeah.
goes boom and blows the fucking
Yeah.
glass out. Everybody's
it's a
tripping out.
famous shot. Like it's a shot that's in like movie montages of
Oh,
other
yeah.
movies. That shot is in movie montages of him
What?
walking away from that explosion.
Why do you
kinda
do that
thing.
though?
Well,
so that
he
everybody
did it.
left so he can walk behind and grab all the drugs that he needs.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So he grabs bandages, drugs, everything he needs to kind of like patch himself up. And that's what he proceeds to do. He patches himself up later on.
Yeah,
But,
he goes to the hotel room and just
Yeah.
puts a shot into him and he just kind of recovers.
Well,
Yeah.
He's just like, I'm Wolverine.
Yeah. So Carson checks into his hotel he's staying at. And he's kind of walking up the stairs to his room, and right behind him, Anton walks right behind him and is just
And he's
walking
got the
towards him.
shotgun and he's got a
Yeah.
limp.
No.
Yeah.
And it's the best shot of Carson because he's like, he looks back and he goes, well, let's go to your room. And then Carson's just like, and he gets up to his room and he sits down. And he's got his hat covered over his head and he kind of looks up and he's just
Yeah.
fucking beat red.
Oh,
Like it's
yeah.
an amazing shot of like him being totally embarrassed, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
And so they kind of like, I don't know, they know
They have a
each other.
history. Yeah, they have a
Yeah.
history. Yeah.
Because when Carson meets that one dude, the dude asks him like, you know Anton Chigurh by face, like by visual.
No, but he
So
was
they-
just bullshitting there though. You know what I mean? Because he's
Oh,
like,
you think he was bullshit?
yeah,
he doesn't
because
know who he is.
he was just trying to make it look like he was like the man, right? He's got the big
Okay.
hat, the big coat,
Yeah.
right? You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? Because he's like, oh, November 28th.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah,
I
you know what I'm
guess I
saying?
never
Like he
got
didn't.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't really like know. Like he
Yeah.
knows of him, but he doesn't think he's like that big.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, he's a psychopathic killer. So what? There's so many of them out there.
Sure.
Yeah.
You know what I
So
mean?
they know of
Well,
each
yeah.
other. And basically, Anton likes to, he's trying to ascertain the location of Llewellyn at this point because he doesn't know
Yeah.
where he is. And so he plays the little coin flip game with Carson.
No, not at
No,
all.
he doesn't?
No,
No?
that's at the end. That's at the end.
Oh, I thought
That's-
he plays with Carson as well.
No, with Carson, he goes, what does he say to Carson? Remember, he's sitting there with the gun pointed on him, and he's he's like, you don't have to do this. And he's like, I can bring you to an ATM, and he's like, I can give you 14 grand. And then Anton just starts laughing, right? Because he's looking for like $2 million, right?
Yeah, basically.
And then remember the phone rings? It just starts ringing and
yeah.
ringing and ringing. And then all of a sudden, fucking Anton's just like, with a shotgun
Yeah.
and fucking kills
Just
him.
shoots him.
Oh, he kills
Yeah.
him.
And then there's like blood like flowing on the floor and he's got his feet down. And he like, right as the blood doesn't want to hit his feet, he lifts his feet
Mhm.
up and
Yeah.
answers the phone and it's Llewellyn Moss calling him.
What?
Yeah.
And he goes,
Calling
yeah,
for
Carson gave Yeah, Carson
Oh,
gave Llewellyn
no!
his number.
Yeah,
first
yeah, yeah.
for him,
And
in
he's
case he
actually
changed his
talking
mind.
to he's actually
Yeah.
talking to Anton, and Anton's like, "You need to see me."
And Anton basically gives him an ultimatum of like, give me the money. And he basically implies like, give me the money and I have to kill you, or I'll go kill your wife. I'm
Yeah,
gonna go
that's the
kill Carla
ultimatum.
Jane.
He's like, "You give me the money and you bring it to my feet, and I won't kill your wife." Is basically what he says.
Yeah.
And then Josh Brolin's like,
you understand that means that like Josh Brolin is also going to die, but
he'll save his wife.
Won't die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
But then he's like, "You know what? I'm going to make this a fucking serious point of mine, and I'm going to come after you." And then he just hangs up the phone, and he like immediately regrets it because he's just like banging the phone off the fucking.
Oh
hook,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
He's got anger, whereas Anton doesn't have anger
No,
other than
I
when
don't think
he's
he has-
choking a police officer.
Yeah. That was the only.
So Josh Brolin like is crossing the border again. He finds the money. Does he find that? Yeah.
No,
finds the
he
money
leaves the
first.
money. He leaves the money.
Oh, does he leave it? Really?
Oh yeah, he leaves it because remember Carson before he dies, he's like walking the bridge, right? He's like walking along the same path, and he sees the bag, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's when like he gets confronted in the hotel with Javier Bardem, and he's like, "I'll bring you to the money," right?
Yeah.
And he doesn't believe him, right? Because who would, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
True.
But if he just believed him, he'd actually have the money, and he would be dead. Right?
But yeah, he probably just.
So wait, Josh Brolin leaves the money before he does.
He leaves the money
States?
because. Well, yeah, he leaves the money and he goes back to Del Rio and he stays in that motel, and he calls his wife on the phone. Remember?
Yeah,
and he's like,
but
"Hey."
I'm also remembering that when he crosses the border, specifically, like on the state side, it's obviously a lot harder just to cross into the states. But
yeah, because he's wearing the fucking gown from the hospital, right? Remember, he's talking to the old Southern guy, and the old Southern guy's like, "Do you know who lets people cross the border here?" And he's like, "You do, sir." And he's like, "You're damn right." And he's like, "You know who crosses this border?" And he's like, "American citizens." And he's like, "Yep." And then he's like,
and then he's like, "You and Nam."
Yeah, he's like, "You and Nam."
He gives him his like,
and he gives him like the division and all that shit.
And then he's like, and he asked his other. There's another
deputy,
border guard, I guess, yeah. And he asked him, and basically it was like they're in the same division or they're close to the same division.
He's like, "Help this." He's like, "Help this man. He's got to get into town."
Yeah, yeah. So he gets down. He goes
back to the shoe store.
Yeah, he goes back to the boot store.
And he's like, "I guess those layers are holding up." And he's like, "Yep." He's like, "I just
because he's got the hospital gown with just the
boots, right?" Yeah. And then the guy's like, or no, he's like, "I just need everything else now." And he's like, "Okay."
So it's not just a boot store. It's like
a clothing, guns,
store.
fucking tent poles. Like it's a serious fucking store. Yeah. It's right up Josh Bowen's alley. Right up Llewellyn Boss's alley.
Yeah.
Okay, so he gets reclothed. He's back in the States.
No, he gets the money. He gets the money before he crosses the border.
Well,
is that what Wikipedia says?
It does, yeah.
I don't know about that though, man.
He does. He totally grabs the money because like
he doesn't have it.
He's not just gonna leave.
No, but he doesn't have it.
We don't see it on him, but he definitely gets it because he gets down there and he gets the money. I remember, yeah.
You know what? You're right because when he goes to the hotel, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. So
he's got the gun on his back.
Yeah. So he gets to the hotel. He phones his wife and he's like, "You got to meet me in El Paso." He's like.
Or Del Rio or whatever it is.
No, it's El Paso.
That's El Paso,
So he like phones his wife and he basically arranges for his wife to meet him in El Paso. Basically just like so that they're together so he can protect her and then at that point they're just going to try to
figure
take
it out.
off.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, and that's the pivotal scene with the Mexicans. Remember the Mexicans are following. The Mexicans are following the wife and the grandmother. So they pull up to like this airport and like they're getting their bags out and shit. And this like Mexican guy comes up and he's got a suit on. He's like, let me help you with your bags to like the old lady.
No.
And the old lady's like,
I have the cancer.
she's like, yeah, that's where she says it. That's where she says it. She's like,
I'm sick.
she's like, it's hot out and I have the cancer. And she's like, chivalry's not dead. She's like, I haven't seen too many Mexicans in a suit.
Good God.
That's what she says. And the guy's like, oh, where are you traveling? And she's like, oh, we're going to El Paso. And she basically gives it up.
No.
Yeah.
But also the wife has called Tommy Lee Jones again and been like, okay, if you're going to fucking help him, I will tell you where he is.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But she's like, you can only go there by yourself. You can't go with nobody else.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where Tommy Lee Jones should have been like, hey, let's fucking get the whole force out there because there's a Mexican cartel after this guy.
Right.
But he's
exactly.
like old school, right? He's old school.
Mhm.
He's got that old honor, right?
So he does just go by himself.
Well,
He does.
So Josh Brolin gets to the hotel, and it's an interesting little scene where this woman's waiting, like drinking
The pool,
beer at
by
the
the
pool,
pool,
by the pool. And they flirt a little bit, and she's like, "Well, you can come back to my room for some beers." And he's like, "I know where beers lead to." Yeah.
Oh
she's
my
like,
God.
more beers. And
Yeah.
he's like, okay, good enough.
Yeah, but he's like, "I'm waiting for my wife," and then
Yeah.
but then she's still like, "Well, we could be friends and drink beers, basically."
Yeah.
Sure.
Then it cuts to
We cut to Sheriff Bell traveling to this hotel in El Paso to meet up with everything so that he can
he's
see
going
it.
to the hotel.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he hears gunshots
same
in the
truck.
distance.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this SUV or truck, like,
Pickup
Like,
truck with the big
bolts
lights
off.
and shit.
Yeah.
And there's like a Mexican guy like dragging off the back of it.
Oh
Yeah.
my
Right?
God.
And it's like, "Arr!" and it's like a fishtail,
Yeah.
right? And like
Yeah.
you hear all these fucking gunshots and shit, and you're like,
Oh,
oh
yeah.
God, yeah.
yeah. And Sheriff Bell like pulls up to the scene and they've taken off, but obviously like this isn't his jurisdiction. So there's other cops after him, and he runs up to this hotel room and he sees Josh Brolin shot dead.
Well, first he
ground.
sees like this Mexican guy, and he's like
Oh,
crawling
true, yeah.
on the ground, right? And he's got like
Yeah.
he's got that same like semi-automatic
What?
fucking handgun, and he's
Yeah.
like dying on the ground, like crawling, right? And he like basically like is like, oh, he's unarmed, so he like walks through the door, and then it pans over and it sees the beer girl. She's
Yeah.
fucking shot in the pool, like fucking bleeding out.
Oh, dead.
And then he looks into the room, and then Josh Brolin's just like
Done.
Yeah.
passed out,
done.
like wasted.
Which it's so interesting that like they fade out and they don't show us that scene. It's just
Yeah.
like it happens. It's
It's
all
kind
from
of good
Bell's
though, because it's kind of
perspective.
open for like your imagination, right?
Yeah. And basically like the Mexicans knew where he was now because of the grandmother, and they followed him. And
Yeah.
So
So
it was the
they found him.
there's some
not
Mexicans who
Javier.
found him. So there's two
Wasn't
parties
Javier,
looking for the
no.
money, right?
Okay.
yeah. And so he finds them
Hmm.
dead. And then later on that night, Carla Jean and the mother show up in the
Yeah.
taxi, like to the hotel. And, it's emotional. She's sad. She finds out, or she's crying, and Sheriff Bell's there. And because her and Sheriff Bell meet in person at a
Couple
diner she's
times,
serving
yeah.
in.
Yeah, that's
or
where he
something like
asked
that.
her. That's where he asked her if he like
Yeah.
if she hears from him, like he should call, basically.
Yeah. So she finds out he's dead. He's there with her. Yeah. Fuck. What? Like it goes kind of over the place at this
So
point.
after that, it moves like 6 or 4 to 6 weeks away from.
Oh no, sorry. Later that night, it's actually later that night. Bell goes back to the crime scene.
Oh yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, he has like this moment where he like
does?
No, they're
has to
like
go back.
they say that
the sheriff Tommy
yeah,
Lee
they,
Jones.
they say that he meets up with that old timer. Remember, he meets up with that old timer in the restaurant, and he's like, you know what? I just don't get it. Like the young people, like they're fucking
Yeah.
crazy about the drugs, and he's like the money and the drugs. Remember, he's like the money and the drugs.
yeah.
So then he's like, who would revisit a crime scene? You got to find out what that crime scene is that they're talking about, because I don't remember which one he revisited.
Well, he revisits the hotel room where Llewellyn dies.
okay, so
he goes.
but before that though, because the old timer says to Tommy Lee Jones, he's like, this guy murders a desk clerk one day, and then he kills an old retired vet, which was Carson Wells.
Oh.
Yeah.
So it was that hotel where he revisited, right? So he
Okay.
goes,
No.
yeah, he goes,
No.
hey,
No, he kills a retired vet. That's Josh Brolin's character. Josh Brolin was
yeah,
a
but he
Vietnam
killed.
vet.
Yeah, but he says like, oh, he killed a desk clerk the one day, and then he comes back and kills a retired vet.
Yes,
You know what I'm saying?
In the same hotel, yeah.
Yeah.
So Tommy Lee Jones has the idea that he might come back to the same crime scene. So he goes back to the hotel where Llewellyn dies. And he approaches the hotel room.
And there's
he opens up the door.
There's that hole with the fucking. Right,
yeah.
and you can remember the shot when you can see the fucking light coming through the door,
and you see Javier Bardem.
And then Javier Bardem's like waiting behind the door with his gun, right?
Yeah, with his bowl cut.
Yeah,
and he's just like,
oh my god, yeah.
It's like he wasn't expecting him. He was kind of like.
But he waits
looks
there.
Scared. He almost looks
waits
a little
there,
afraid.
and then like Tommy Lee's not used to like pulling out his gun, right? Because he's old school, right?
Yeah.
So he like actually pulls his gun out, and he like opens the door, and nobody's there, and then it pans to like the vent being off. Remember, and he like crawled out the fucking vent.
Yeah.
Again, this guy seems too big for that.
Oh, he is. He's insane. Javier Bardem's
like basically
big boy.
Yeah. Tommy Lee Jones is safe. He doesn't get killed or any shit.
Okay.
No.
So basically, like, that's kind of the end of all of that. And Tommy Lee Jones ends up visiting his uncle out in some like shack.
The guy who got shot and like, remember they were talking about the guy in the, remember he was like.
Oh, in the beginning, yeah.
No, they were talking about the cattle, right? And they were saying like, oh, we used to kill cattle with a bullet, right? And he's like,
yeah.
Even steer against man is uncertain because the guy shot the cattle, but the cattle moved and the bullet ricocheted and hit Buddy in the shoulder.
Okay.
And he was like paralyzed, right?
Yeah.
So he comes rolling out.
This is his uncle, actually. Like, it's his uncle because he's talking about his like father, and he's also talking about like his own family. This is like Tommy Lee Jones's uncle he's visiting, and it's kind of this big monologue that basically, essentially, Tommy Lee Jones is like, I'm basically retiring. I feel outmatched by.
Well, she's like, yeah, he's talking to his wife, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So he basically, that's what he kind of tells his uncle is that, you know, he's ready to retire in a very long, drawn out monologue about his aunt, like hunting, and like his father and his great, like.
But he legit says like, I feel overmatched. That's what he says.
Yeah.
Like he literally says that at the end. Because at the beginning, he talks about the old timers not even wearing a gun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And he like totally respects that and all that shit. But like, he's just in the wrong era for his like profession, right? Like times are changing and he's fucking way behind, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. This is now, it's kind of like weeks later, a couple months later. Carla Jean's mother has died from the cancer.
Yep. Cancer.
So she leaves from the funeral.
Cancer.
Yeah, the non-specific cancer. I just got the results. I definitely have breast cancer. If anyone gets that reference. So Carla like goes to her home. I think it's where her mother lives. It's basically where she's living now.
She's inherited the mother's home now.
Yeah. So she's returning from the funeral. She comes into the house and she walks into her bedroom.
No. There's a fucking window open, and they show the scene of like the curtain kind of blowing in the wind with the windows open.
Yeah.
And she's kind of like,
this is in her old woman's home.
Yeah, she's like, what the fuck? I didn't leave that window open.
Oh no.
And she walks into the bedroom, and Anton is sitting in the chair
right there.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
And then she walks in, she's like, I knew this wasn't over.
Oh,
yeah. No. And he motions for her basically to sit down, and she sits down.
Just because
they want to talk.
He wants to talk?
Well, at this point, the money is still missing.
Oh,
the money's gone.
No, we don't know where the money is anymore. Yeah. And he's
I'm pretty sure he didn't pick up the money. I'm pretty sure it's in the ditch there.
Well, it's weird because by Wikipedia,
because like if he died,
that he retrieves the money before he crosses the border.
Yeah, but if he
died,
if he died, like when he died, the money would be there, right?
Yeah, that's. I guess that's.
Like he was only carrying. He was only carrying his gun when he was.
That's
at the
true.
hotel.
Yeah,
but if he died and the money was there because the Mexicans got to him.
Oh, maybe the Mexicans have the money.
Well, but she saw the scene after the fact still. So like she could, I guess, have the money.
You know what? That's actually a good point. The Mexicans might have the money.
Well, no, that's not what I said.
You know what? No. Let's stop talking about the money because it actually isn't about the money.
Yeah,
she's like, I knew this wasn't over, and he basically says, I made a promise. That's what he says.
Remember Llewellyn in the hotel was like,
way.
he's like, you give me the money now and I'll save your wife.
Yeah. So even though the money's gone, he's not finding the money, she doesn't know where it is. He still has to kill her because that's what he said he'd do. So,
but she pleads her case, right?
Okay.
She pleads her case, and he kind of shows a little bit of remorse.
Okay.
And you know what he says?
Something about the coin.
Call it.
Yeah. He flips the coin.
He flips the
coin.
She
doesn't want to call it.
She doesn't want to call it because she knows, right?
Yeah. She gets.
Yeah. She's like, it's not. She's like, I'm not calling anything. It's up to you. This is your choice. It's not.
She's like, you don't have to do this. And he's like, you know how many times I've heard that, blah, 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 like all this shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So anyway, continue, sorry.
Oh, yeah. So so basically, she doesn't want to call it. He's like, call it. And basically it cuts and he walks out of the house. He's about to get in his car, but he checks his shoes first. He
goes like this,
lifts up his shoes.
Looks at his feet.
No.
Yeah. So we can assume he's checking for blood because he killed her. Yeah.
Okay.
So he's driving. He's just driving along.
Yeah, he's just driving along at the end. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's driving down the road and it very clearly cuts to a shot of like a green light. So he's got the green light. He drives, but then he gets fucking T-boned. It's like a routine traffic accident. It's not anything. No one's after him.
No, but he's like fucked up. Like he's fucked.
Oh, yeah.
It was a serious accident.
But
yeah.
But it was a random person. It wasn't.
Yeah, it was random. It wasn't like
karma.
Someone's after him.
It's a karma. It's an act of karma.
Okay. His arm is like fucking. No, it's his arm. Yeah, his arm's got a fucking bone sticking out of it.
Yeah, the kid's like, So these two kids like roll up on bikes, right? And they're like, "Sir, like, are you okay?" And then he's like, "I'm fine." He's like, "I'm fine." He's like sitting there, right? And he's like, the kids are like, you got a fucking bone sticking out of your arm, dude. And he's like, yeah, okay. And then the other kid behind him's like, look at that fucking bone. And they're like, they're all like tripping out. And then you know what he says? He goes, how much you take for the shirt?
What?
Like throwing.
Does he say like I'll give you
$100
bucks for the shirt?
He's like, how much you take for the shirt? Yeah, and the guy's like, oh, I'll just give it to you for free. And he just like pulls out a couple $100, right? And gives it to the kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he fucking wraps his arm up. And he fucking ties his arm up.
Which is another throwback to Josh Brolin
crossing the
asking
border
for the code. It's kind of now that was in the same situation.
So then he just
pays the kid for the shirt. He wraps up and he just walks away as the police are like about to come because like a neighbor saw the crash and like phoned the police. They said,
and then just like cutscene. That's it. Yeah.
That's the end of the movie.
No, that's not the end of the movie. So the end of the movie.
Fuck, I was like,
so he gets away. End? No, he gets away. Like everything's there, and then we cut to a scene. It's at Sheriff Bell's like house, and he's with his wife. And he's retired now. He's just kind of sitting at home. They're drinking coffee, and he's talking about, oh, maybe I'll go riding later. You want to join me, like on the horses? And then he's talking about dreams he's had. He's had these two dreams, and the first dream is that he lost some money that his father had given him, and his father's upset at him. Like it's like these introspective monologues that I'm sure are much more significant and like meaningful if you read the book. But in this movie, they kind of just like, I don't know, they kind of forget about his character a lot in this movie. But and then the other dream he's had is him and his father are riding through a snowy mountain pass, and his father goes ahead to make a fire in the darkness, and like that's kind of it. He just has these monologues. Yeah. And it ends on those monologues that he has.
Yeah, it's a really deep story though, how he tells it.
It is,
right? He's like, I'm riding in the dark and I'm scared. And he's like, but then I see a fire and I go up to it and it's my father. And like it's like a warming thing, right? Because it's like it's like hence, you know what I mean? No Country for Old Men. The guy is an old man who was overmatched, and he actually, he didn't take pride into aspect. He actually just made the correct call to get out. Because think about it, if he would have pursued that shit, he would have been just like Llewellyn Moss and those other motherfuckers. He would have been dead.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like taking the easy way out. It's not the prideful way to do it, but it's the right way to do it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it ends based on Tommy Lee Jones's kind of monologues about his father, and yeah, it ends with him. That's the end of the movie.
But yeah, this one, I really do like. Yeah, I love it when an actor just creeps me the fuck out, and I think that's a selling point. Again,
he does a very good job.
Like I can't promise I'm gonna watch it. I can't. I just
No,
at
you
this
can never
point we
do
know
that.
that I can't.
Well, where can, if people want to, do you have some funny tweets or Instagrams or?
Dylan's off the grid. I feel like
He's
he
off the grid.
He made the most
I just,
confused face.
Give us your address if people want to
He's
hear
like,
you.
what's social media?
No, I'm gonna send the link.
email
I do have friends, believe it or not. So I will spread the word, absolutely, and I do appreciate you guys having me on, and I loved every minute of it.
Well, you know who does have a platform?
Us.
We do. Yeah. Well,
Will, you say it.
I always say it. This is my
He has to. I
job
don't
right
even
here.
know it.
Well, if you want to follow us, you can follow us at Haven't Seen Podcast on Instagram and Facebook, or at haven't_seen_it on Twitter. If you want to catch up with our episodes, you can find us on any platform or our website, haven'tseenapodcast.com. There you will find all our episodes as well as the list of movies Alenka hasn't seen, and it is a lot.
It's whatever. It's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot.
Check everything out. Leave us a review, either on iTunes or wherever you can leave reviews, our
Google
Facebook.
review.
Yeah, follow us.
Email
You can
us.
even, you know what you can do? You can actually go on the episode on our website, leave a comment on the page.
Whoa.
And I, as the admin of the comments, will respond to you.
You guys,
Isn't that
Will's
cool?
So bored. Please give him something to do. Thank you for watching, and Will, fuck you.